Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let's start the Monday, December 4th Town Hall meeting. Roll call, please.
DNA,
Here.
Casanello,
Here.
Pater,
Here.
Larson,
Here.
Schneider,
Here.
Ramirez,
Here.
Gallagher.
Here.
Okay, I would like to start the meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance. We have Troop 924 here to head this pledge.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Scouts. We have the invocation. Pastor Mark Brady is here from Park Valley Church. Welcome.
Well, Merry Christmas, everyone. I just can't tell you enough what an honor it is to come here each time, just spend a few minutes with you all. And Kim, thank you for the invite. You're such a blessing in my life. Chief, thank you for keeping our town safe. It's an encouragement. And I'm thankful for your whole team of people that protect this community. Mayor, thank you for your friendship over the years. Anything we can do for you, we're here for you. And I was just thinking what makes Park Valley Church great and what makes our town of Haymarket great is I think if you take humility, love, kindness, and you don't compromise on truth, you can't go wrong. And it tells us in the book of James, I think it's in 4:10, where it says, humble yourselves before the Lord, he will lift you up. So all I see here is a bunch of humble servants. And God is blessing each one of you because of your humility. So thank you for making my town an amazing town because of your love and your kindness and not compromising on the truth. So let's pray. God, we thank you for your love for us. Lord, I pray for this team that you have assembled here in the town of Haymarket. Lord, I just want to pray for all their families this season, that you'd have your hand of protection upon them. And I pray, God, that everything that we do would just be the common denominator of love in all aspects of our lives. And Lord, I just pray for the board that you would give them wisdom, give them knowledge, and just give them the discernment to make the choices that are pleasing to you, to continue to make this town an amazing town. And what an honor it is to be here tonight. And we thank you that you're present here. And I just thank you for the sacrifice of this team of people. Because of their sacrifice, we all get to benefit. And like I always say, we live in the greatest town in America. We are blessed. So we love you and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Next on our list is the Business Spotlight. We have Crumble Cookie here tonight. Cammie Fairbanks is with us representing Crumble Cookie.
Hi. We just wanted to take a quick minute and introduce ourselves a little bit. My business partner couldn't be here tonight, but I brought two of my little helpers with me today. Can you guys say hi? They are a big part of what we do in being patient with Mom while she is away a lot making cookies. So we appreciate their patience. But we just wanted to thank you guys for the warm welcome that we have received here in Haymarket. I have been blown away. We have a few other locations, and we have never received this kind of a welcome. So I want to commend you for that. Especially from the police force, we have had officers stop by. They make sure that our employees are safe when they are leaving. It's unheard of these days. And so that is just really, really commendable and appreciated. So thank you. I just wanted to take a second and say how we got into it. So like they said, my name is Cammie. I'm one of the owners there. And I started having Crumble Cookies back in Utah, where I'm from. That's where the company started. And once I had my first Crumble cookie, I was sold. I was like, okay, this is the best cookie I've ever had. And then I found out they changed their flavors every week. and I just had to go back again and again and again. And then when we moved out here to Virginia, that's before we had any out here. And my previous profession is actually a dental hygienist. That's what I went to school for. And it was a wonderful profession, but I thought, you know, I'm ready for something different. I want to challenge myself and I want to push myself a little bit. I've never wanted to be a business person. That's not my personality, but making people happy and being with people is. And when I found that there was an opportunity to franchise here in Virginia, I grabbed one of my best friends and I said, we can do this. Let our husbands do their thing. Let's do this. And so together we've opened a location in Bristow, over in Chantilly, and then now here in Haymarket. Something that we have loved here about the town of Haymarket is that close-knit community. It is really unheard of nowadays, and it's kind of sad that we are losing that wherever we go. I'm from a very small town in Utah, and it was very common. This whole setup of your town hall meeting is very similar to what I'm used to, and I appreciate that we're not letting go of that, and that we can keep things close and tight-knit. And so we hope to be a part of your community. As much as you guys have welcomed us in, we love to donate cookies. We bake our cookies fresh every day, and we have cookies at the end of the night that we like to give back and donate to different community members. And so please reach out to us. If there are people that you know of that can use a pick-me-up, we want to be a part of that, and give back to schools, be a part of different events and charities. We would love to do that. So again, thanks for giving us a little second to introduce ourselves. And if there's anything we can ever do to help the town of Haymarket, to help any organization or group, we would love to do that. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome, yeah.
Thank you. Oh.
Thanks for coming in.
And we did bring some cookies for everyone, so please, we're not taking them with us, so.
Yep. Anyone have any questions for Cammie? Nope?
Just thank you and welcome.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
Joe, scream out a flavor. I'll bring something by for you.
You put the cookies next to the scouts, though.
Oh. Dibs. Got to claim dibs.
Later, Garden.
Okay. Next on the list is a community spotlight. We have Lynn Williams here representing the Haymarket Food Pantry.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lynn Williams, and I am been volunteering at the Haymarket Regional Food Pantry for about 6 years now. Started out as a volunteer, and I am now the food distribution supervisor, and I also am now a recently assigned to the board. So just wanted to give you a little bit of highlight about what the Haymarket Regional Food Pantry is. We are on track this year to serve 15,000 client households. That's going to be by the end of December. And what does that equal out to? That equals out to 60,000 people by the end of this year. Absolutely amazing. Our numbers have doubled, or sometimes, and some areas have tripled since last year and years before. The age groups that we serve are anywhere from, age zero all the way up to 65 plus. So our clients are from all over the county, Prince William County, Manassas, Gainesville, Haymarket, Bristow, and Manassas Park are mostly where our clients are from. We do have a small percentage of clients that come to us from outside of our service area, but we never turn those people away. We will serve them for the first time they come to our pantry. We will help them, and then we will provide them with a pantry that is close to their area and get them into where they can get some much needed help. How often do our clients come? We have some clients that come weekly. We have some clients that come quarterly. We have some that come only once a year. But most of our clients do come on a weekly basis, and we see them every single week. I am the food distribution supervisor, so that means that I'm there a lot. We are there serving food Monday through Thursday evenings and on Saturday mornings. And I've personally gotten to know just about every single one of those clients. They had come into the pantry, and the first thing they see is, "Hey, Lynn, how are you?" And I know them by name. They can't believe that I can remember their names because there's 15,000 of them. But I do, because I take up very, very personally to become very personally involved with them and help them. I want to give back to the community, and I'm so glad that I can do that here. So do you have any questions for me about the pantry?
Michelle?
So leading up to Thanksgiving, I guess, or after post-Thanksgiving, and then leading up to the holidays, have you had the sources that you need for turkey and other dinners and things like that?
So we do have some incredible partners, Wegmans, Walmart. Our pastors have helped us at the different churches around the area. Absolutely, when we are in need, we will reach out to them. And Walmart gave us over 200 turkeys for Thanksgiving. And then we had a lot of other different businesses that donated. Heritage Hunt donated some turkeys to us. We actually are going to be doing it again for Christmas, the week before Christmas. We are going to be giving out turkeys and Christmas dinners again to every single one of our clients that are there that week. We also have Santa and an elf coming. So that's going to be exciting for our little parishioners, our little clients that are going to be coming in. So we're going to have a lot of fun that week. We've got NATO that is going to be coming and distributing some toys. That's something that they would like to do. That's one of our partners. So that's very exciting as well.
And you're always in need, I imagine, but is there anything particularly that you're short of lately that we could?
So we have some signature items that we often purchase through the Capital Area Food Bank. Those items are in things that we give out every single week, like flour and sugar and cereal and milk and eggs and meat. So those are the things that we purchase those because we don't get those donated at all. So that's something that we would always need help with, is those type of things. Any monetary value that you give us, we could go and purchase it ourselves and get what we need when we need it. That's perfect, because we don't have a lot of freezer space either. So sometimes we get a lot of food donated to us. I think Walmart gave us 1,800 pounds of meat on Friday, and we didn't have any freezer space to put it all. So on Saturday, the clients got a lot of meat. So it's good to kind of figure out when we're going to get this stuff, and if we get low, we can purchase it ourselves rather than having it brought to the pantry, because we have limited space.
Thank you.
Yes.
So outside of dropping items off at the facility to make a financial donation, how do we go about doing that?
So we do have a food distribution. So I'm food distribution supervisor. We also have a maintenance team supervisor. Her name is Cindy McCormick. She's there every single day. She accepts donations. She's there for drives, anybody who does food drives for us. It's scheduled through her. We also have a marketing director who sets those up for us. So she will accept donations and do time slots of when people can do that for us. And then we also have the bins out back. If it's non-perishable foods, anybody can donate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in those 4 bins in the back of the pantry. But non-perishable stuff, we're there between 9 and 3:30 every day. And then from about 8:15 to about 1 on Saturdays, we can accept that. And then Cindy, our food maintenance, she will, if there's an appointment that somebody needs to come in on Sunday, she will be there on Sunday to accept those donations as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Outside of food and finances, so if you had to identify, the biggest need that you had from, a people perspective, where could you use an extra set of hands, and how would somebody get involved there?
So we are, there's not a day that goes by that we are not short volunteers.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you right now. They're at food distribution shift. It takes 11 volunteers per shift to do what we do at night. Sometimes I only have 8, which means one volunteer is doing multiple things. And it's a lot when you're serving 79 families a night in a 3-hour period. On Saturdays, it's above 80 families. And if I only have 6 or 7 volunteers, it takes for a really long time. So we are always asking for volunteers, not just for food distribution, but also for maintenance, to restock the shelves after we've depleted the food pantry for food that day, restocking the shelf, people going and picking up stuff from our grocery store partners. There's lots of different ways that we need volunteers. Yes.
How old do any volunteer need to be in order to work with like food distribution or restocking?
So we ask that they're at least 15 years old to come to the pantry without a supervisor or parent. However, if you would like to volunteer and you want to bring your 2 little ones with you, we don't turn that away. We have the 2 little ones stay with the mom in the same area, or the dad, or even a big sister or sibling. And they can, these little guys are great at handing out eggs and milk. So we've often have that in there, and we love that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. Do you have another question?
No, I was just checking on Joe, and he just put a heart saying, love, love, love.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Also, the town has been collecting some essential non-perishables for you to take with you. I don't know if we have boxes for those, or are they all bagged, or?
We have a box and we can assist getting it out to your car.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Now, the next item on the agenda is the recognition and awards. Emily,
Some fun stuff. 'Tis the season. Okay, so we have a couple different recognitions and awards that we would like to do this evening, so bear with me. We're going to start with Park Valley. So Mark, can I have you come up?
Thank you.
And tonight we're presenting Park Valley with a donation check. So every year, Park Valley so graciously helps us with all of our community events. They're there at every single thing we do. They bring out a great group of volunteers, and we just greatly appreciate everything that the whole church does and how you guys rally behind us. So this is presented to you. I'll let you come up here. You can get in front of everybody. So again, at every event, Park Valley shows up. They do our Kids Zone events. They do the moon bounces. They bring out all of the fun things. They're there giving away items. They're there for fellowship and just introducing themselves to the community. So we see you guys. We're so thankful for everything you do, and we hope to have many, many more years of working together with the church. And please pass our gratitude on to Steve and his special team that he really pulls together every year. And we look forward to having you guys back out on Saturday. For the Christmas event, you don't want to miss it. They bring the best train with the best train conductor, and our kids, they just love it. And so it's always very special. They have hot cocoa for everybody, always free. Everything they do is just from the bottom of their hearts with love. So thank you guys so much for everything you do. I do want to have council come down and we take a nice photo, please.
Coming down, I just want to say thank you. I used to be the small group pastor and outreach pastor, so I love doing community stuff. And Pastor Steve has done an amazing job for us. If you guys haven't had a chance to meet Pastor Barry, who's our senior pastor, he just loves so much, and it's infectious, and just truly believe that's why God's blessing our church. And so this is truly an honor.
Rachel needs to get up there.
Yes, Rachel, our lovely event coordinator. We would be remiss not to have you. Okay. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Okay, and our next recognition, I'll have the scouts come up. If you guys want to come up to the front, not to put you on the spotlight, but come on up. So we want to say a very, very, very special thank you to the Scout Troop. If you guys want to stand up front and you can look at your audience. So these young ladies and young men help us every year with Haymarket Day trash pickup. It's probably a very hard, stinky day, but you guys, we like to think of you all as our MVPs because we could not do Haymarket Day without you guys. You work very hard throughout the whole day. You do one of the hardest things there is to do on Haymarket Day, and that is man about 50 to 60 trash cans and deal with everything that goes in them. So our team certainly couldn't do all the work that you guys do, so thank you so much for everything. We were working on swapping out the checks so we could have a nice photo op, but it's not quite working. Our apologies. So we're making a donation to Troop 924 for $750 so that you guys can hopefully put it towards activities or summer camp or anything else that you guys do within your troop. So thank you all, and please share with your other scouts that we really appreciate everything you guys did that day. And I think Councilman Schneider is itching to say a few words back there, so I'm going to have him come up.
Well, I was itching about something else, but no, just this is my daughter Naomi. Full disclosure, both my daughters are in Troop 924. We're one of the few joined troops in the region, boys and girls troops, and we're hopefully going to have some new Eagles in both groups here pretty soon. So that's all I had. I have more comments to say about Longstreet Commons and the vendor setup. So anyway, council members, anybody else want to come up for a photo?
We can still take a photo.
Troop masters, any troop masters want to join in?
Scout masters, you want to come up? Leaders, come on, everybody's doing it.
Thank you guys so much. Be sure to grab some cookies. Okay.
Hey, Emily, before you jump, can I go ahead?
Yes, please do.
What I was going to offer is, so Longstreet Commons, I want to say for the last 17 years, has done the vendor setup for Haymarket Day. Always been a sort of a loosely group of dads that got together. So this year is a blend. We had some folks from Green Hill Crossing when I moved across the street. So now it's the north side and the south side that help with vendor setups. A couple of folks, Brett McLaughlin and his daughter Delilah helped. Doug Thomas and his son Grayson helped. This was an 8-year-old boy that was up at 5:30 in the morning to do that. It was pretty impressive. Naomi Schneider, my daughter, there's a picture somewhere of her and my other daughter on the back of a golf cart about 12 years ago, falling asleep as I was driving them through town trying to do vendor setup. Of course, Emily and Rachel, and then also Chuck Carnahan, who's affectionately known as Uncle Chuck, to all the folks in the neighborhood. So thank you to Longstreet Commons and Green Hill Crossing, and also Yogi. Yogi is one of our folks that helped us out as well. So thank you, Emily, for that.
Mm-hmm.
Our very special award here. All of town staff and town council would like to publicly acknowledge and thank Matt Burrows for all of his dedication, hard work, commitment to not only everything Christmas, but everything the town. I think that everybody can admit and say that since the middle of summer, we've noticed a much better looking street, a nicer streetscape in general, maintenance, you name it. Matt takes care of it outside for us, and he's here all the time. We know that it is hard work, but he comes in each day just ready to hit the day with many cups of coffee, we know. But especially this season, Matt has gone above and beyond since Haymarket Day, just kind of running nonstop. And so we wanted to really let him know that we really appreciate all your hard work. And we want to thank you. You are our Clark Griswold, and we love it. Matt did everything outside this past week. We were his little elves inside helping fluff a lot of tree branches for our new tree, but you know, Matt made it happen. And all on top of that, we had about 20 street lights randomly go out. And so I know last week was stressful for him, trying to make sure that everything was working. But also getting up our Christmas decorations. So again, thank you so much, Matt, for your dedication. Your community recognizes and knows you. They definitely, you know, they compliment Matt on all of his hard work and how good everything looks. So this is a nice little Christmas basket for you. And we would like for you to take us outside and you plug in and light our tree and show us all your hard work.
It is going to be a Griswold deal on that.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, we would like to
And this is a
take
test run. The official
Yes.
tree lighting will
The
be this
official
weekend.
tree lighting is Saturday.
To the scouts for Haymarket Day, for you guys doing that trash, out of everything that goes on, for me, that is the most important thing, the worst thing to do, and I really appreciate it. Every year you guys are out there hauling trash all the time, and I just want to say thank you every single year. It's my favorite part of you guys doing that. Yes.
Okay, so if we can, we'd like to take a little break and pop outside, really see all Matt's hard work with all these Christmas lights, and then we'll come back in.
Yep. So if there's no objections, before you go.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, back from recess.
So, yeah, thank you. Huge thank you to Matt. He still has a long week of work ahead for the Christmas event. We're going to be helping him. If anybody wants to volunteer some time, feel free to stop by Town Hall. We have a lot of fun stuff planned for this Saturday's event, so we will all be working very, very hard on that. And I think the last thing I have is just remember Saturday's event is 2 to 6 p.m. We have a special visitor coming out. Santa will be here for all our little kiddos to visit with. It's going to be a lovely event. We will have about 30 craft vendors on our special Candy Cane Lane this year. We will have some food vendors out here as well. Our official tree lighting will be done around 5:30. We do have a family who will be doing that for us. They won it as a silent auction basket prize earlier in the year, so we're excited to include that family this time. And then we'll always, we have our musical performances by our local littles. So we have Haymarket Baptist Church will be out here, 4 Hours Preschool, and St. Michael's Academy, along with some other musical performances. So we hope to see everybody. Right now the weather's looking pretty good, 60 degrees, but you can always still wear your ugly Christmas sweaters and be festive. So hope to see everybody there, and that starts at 2 p.m. And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Okay, time to move on. We got our public hearing. We could get the public notice read for the record.
Sure thing, sir. Notice is hereby given that the Town Council of the Town of Haymarket will hold a public hearing on Monday, December 4th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Haymarket Town Hall located at 15000 Washington Street, Suite 100, Haymarket, Virginia, to consider the adoption of general and comprehensive amendments to the town's comprehensive plan. The proposed amendments to the town comprehensive plan include adding a resource protection area map, updating the potential erosion hazards map, and updating the language regarding the potential erosion hazards in Haymarket. The comprehensive plan draft is available on the town's website and for review at the town hall between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. All meetings are open to the public, and the town of Haymarket does not discriminate on the basis of disability in admission or access to its programs and activities. The location of this public hearing is believed to be accessible to persons with disabilities. Any person with questions on the accessibility of the facility should contact the town clerk.
Okay. Under the public hearing, we got the citizens' time. Anybody have any comments on the comp plan or any of the text amendments that are being proposed? Okay, any emails?
No, sir.
Okay, so I guess we can close the public meeting. Do I need a motion on that? No. Okay, so let's close that. Now we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is citizens' time. Any citizens that have any general comments they want to make about town policies or anything, please approach the podium.
Thank you all.
Okay.
My wife never gives me a microphone. This is fantastic. My name is Matt Buckham. I'm one of the business owners at Great Maine Brewery here in town. We operate on this corner of town behind the sheets. I just want to say thank you so much for having me here and speaking. I did want to discuss the mobile food, I call them food trucks, so I'll just stick with food trucks, but the mobile food ordinance that you guys have been deliberating. First off, thank you guys so much for having us in your town. I don't know if you know this, but 1 year old in November, I would have never imagined that I could have gotten to this point. My wife is thankful. My kids are grateful. Josh and I are grateful for having us in your community. So council, even though I haven't met a lot of you, hello, thank you. For the town and the staff at the town, thank you. Roberto at the treasurer's office and Emily, town council, so thank you. The main gist, I put my thoughts in an email just to put them out there, but the main gist, and I'll try to do the 20,000 foot view when I'm speaking, mostly to say my brewery operates as a manufacturer tap room. It's served as a community place. This is something Josh and I wanted from the very beginning. We love beer. We love the passion behind making a great product. Bringing people in to enjoy that in a space where we can treat them and they can have a place where it's like home. We let groups, nonprofits use the space, VFW. We have the events and the groups that we cater to are not from our own brains. We're very uncreative people outside of beer making, but they're from the individuals that have adopted us as their friends. It's teachers that said, hey, can we do a trivia night on Wednesdays? It's another set of teachers that say, we want to meet new people. Can we do a bunco night? We have Prince William County Library that hosts book club. VFW meets once a week, and we have combat vets that come and do their meetings at our brewery. These are the things that we love. The reason I speak on food trucks is we were operating, probably incorrectly, forgive me for anything I do incorrectly, but we were operating in a way that was bringing food for the outside. We're tucked away behind the sheets, as you're aware, and it is very difficult to work the food option. Josh and I aren't food people, so we look for outside vendors. We look for outside support. We have an open food policy currently at our brewery where we let people bring in their food and other local food from the area. The one thing I want to say about the food trucks is it was an easy way of getting a regular pattern over the weekends and for some of these events when our VFW group comes in on the weekends or when we have trivia night. It was a way to bring food to the area so that our customers could drink responsibly, enjoy the space, and also have a place where they could have a meal and have it available readily. When I just noted my anecdote for you guys as you're continuing the deliberation is at first, it was very easy to bring food trucks in. We just invited them. once the town started reaching out with business permits and processes and fees, I know that these guys are small businesses too. As soon as all these additional burdens started coming up, we went down from like 30 to 60 food trucks that we'd have to reach out to, follow up, call, text, schedule for each day we're trying to bring them out. And now we have maybe 6 or 7, maybe 5 on our list that we can reach out to. So then the quantity has gone down for options and availability, and just the ability to get people out on the weekends and for these events that we host at our brewery has just gone down. So the reason I'm here tonight is because you guys are deliberating it. Thank you guys for looking into it, making it as easy for me as a business owner to bring in food in an area that doesn't have readily accessible food. The one thing I would ask is be as least restrictive as possible. I think I put in my notes if there's ability to do reciprocity with existing permits and regulations that the food trucks already abide by from the county and the state level, I would request that you guys would look into that options there. And then on the town side, one thing that I found really helpful was when somebody does comply with whatever you guys work out, when you guys let me know, all of a sudden I can put that on the town of Haymarket said these guys are good. When you guys can tell me, like, these guys are good, here's a public list of everybody that's registered, that's abiding by the rules of the road, it's very helpful for a business owner that's already in the weeds of social media, planning, taxes, paperwork, brewing, staffing, that it helps me a ton. So thank you guys for when you did that, when people did register. Summarize it all. You have my notes in front of you, but my request would make it as easy as possible for these guys to come out to my brewery, offer a food option where we don't have one, and allow the customers to have that ability right there. It brings an enormous amount of outside business inside the town, specifically to us. I'm appreciative of it. When they're not there, we have seen our sales decline. That's why I'm here. I know you guys are working hard on it. I know there's so much going on behind the scenes that I'm not aware of, and I'm very appreciative. Thank you all. If you have questions, I'm heard you probably don't have questions, but
Not yet.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else out there who wants to contribute during citizens' time? And Kim, any emails besides Matt's?
And I have that one from Matt, and so we will forward it on to town council so that you guys can all read his email as well.
Okay. Okay, then I guess we'll move on then. We got the consent agenda. If I could get a round of who wants to open up what reports? Start over on this side. Matt, we'll start with you, and we'll get to you, Mary, next.
Nothing for me.
Okay, Mary.
I'd like to pull the town admin report, the chief of police report, and the town engineer report, please.
Okay, Marshawn, you're good? Tracy Lynn?
I was wanting the town admin report, so Mary covered that for me.
And that's all for you? Okay, Alexander? Joe?
I think I heard the town admin report, the chief report, the engineer report.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, and I would like to open up the treasurer report and the finance liaison report. So do we got to do a motion to close the other meetings now, or can we do it after we discuss?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that the town council approve consent agenda items A, 1, and 2, item B, 5, and item C, 2 through 5.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any quick discussions before we vote? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. So we'll open up the first report, the town administration report. Mary, since you were the first to open it up, we'll let you make comments first.
Thanks, Mayor. I have quite a few. I apologize. Emily, I am wondering if you could update us on the RFP status for the sidewalk at the park.
Certainly. Thank you for asking. Great news. We have finalized our bid tabulation, so I can share that with the town council. I received that over today from our town engineer, so everything there has been completed for the review. We're now in our second phase of going through the going through the bid packages and doing the reference checks. So we will be completing those over the course of the next month. And then we currently have it scheduled for our January 2nd meeting to have the notice to award the RFP bid at our town council meeting that evening. We will talk about it in our work session at 6 p.m. ahead of time, and you will receive all of the packet materials a week prior should you have any questions. That way I can look into them and come ready to discuss them at the work session at 6 p.m. on the 2nd. So we are moving right along. I know it's taken us a little bit to get here, but we are at the very final steps and we're very close to being ready to award. So it's very exciting.
If all goes well, what's the earliest we would see groundbreaking?
So Katie and I, our town engineer, we spoke about that actually on Thursday. I think she popped in for a meeting. And so one of the things we need to keep into consideration is the excuse me, the company will need time to pull the appropriate VDOT permit. And so with VDOT permitting, sometimes we're looking at a full month to receive that. We want to err on the side of caution and give about 6 weeks for that permit to come through. We're very hopeful that we could have a close to April 1 groundbreaking or start date on construction. So steps that we need to get done between now and then. We need to notice to award. We need to have them accept it. We need to sit down and get our final signatures on our site plan completed. We need to check back in with our engineering team who is doing this for us, the engineering group, and ensure that everything's been completed for our crosswalk study and that that was approved through VDOT. Once we go through those steps, we can then release the site plan to the awarded contractor, have them work through the permitting, hold our pre-con meeting, and then they will give us schedules from there on how long they think the construction phase will take.
Excellent. I appreciate all the effort that you're putting into this, and I'm excited that we will see something in this coming year. So thank you. If it's all right, I'd like to move on.
Go on. Anybody have any more questions on this line item?
Sorry.
Okay. I'll move in then. My one question is, you mentioned in here about a change request for the crosswalk. That's not going to delay anything, is it?
No, that should not delay anything. They have already been working on the crosswalk portion that we have asked them to look into. And so this is a crosswalk coming from Coach Way over Washington Street to the town park sidewalk that we'll be putting in. So we have asked them to already do this. They are looking into it. They are in effect billing us after the fact by submitting the change order to us. So that's something I'm working with the head engineer on finalizing that number.
Okay.
But no delays are expected
Just
from
wanted
that.
to raise that one up since that was kind of a surprise.
I will say that we're kind of asking for the moon on this crosswalk. We're throwing everything we can at VDOT to see if they'll approve it. We know that the road gets wider here with the turn lane into Haymarket Station and then the width in the turn lane going into the town park. So we want it high visibility. We want it safe for children, strollers, pets, you name it, in the crosswalks. So that might affect our cost at the construction phase of it, putting all of that into place. But we find that it is absolutely necessary to have this high visibility. Again, with it being such a wide area and no median currently in the road.
Yep. And if you could put in a comment to have the engineer look into a raised crosswalk, like a speed table.
Yes.
I don't think VDOT would accept it because it's a secondary road, but it's something we can throw out there if we want to really give safety to this.
We can inquire.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Okay, back to you, Mary.
Thank you. I wanted to hop over to the park building. It has been posted on Facebook that we are moving into the next stage with the ARB, and with that, I am curious as to what we'll be presenting at the ARB. Do we have any next steps that we are presenting as far as, you know, the pavilion and restrooms and things that we had originally included in that motion? Will that be also presented to the ARB?
At this time, no. The pavilion and the restrooms and the other options are not being presented. We are, sorry, we are working through the demolition application. We are working through providing the materials that the ARB has requested of staff to pull together. So some more information on the history of the building, providing the cost estimates that were discussed at the council level for that. And then the ARB requested, if possible, for Thomas to work through some of the building department requirements or information that we could find on upgrading the structure. So staff has been working on these items. We will be talking about it again this Wednesday night. We did not have a November meeting, and then we moved our December meeting up from the 20th. So that is on the agenda for this coming Wednesday to discuss the demolition application.
Okay, does anybody have any other questions for the ARB line item? Joe?
Yes, Emily, thank you for those comments. My question revolves around the application deadline for the ARB review. If I'm correct, and I did my math right, we submitted the application for certificate of appropriateness on October 18th, is that correct?
That would be correct, yes.
And given the ARB's guidelines, how long before we have to have a decision from the ARB before we can move forward?
Based on the ARB guidelines, we will need for the board to make their decision at this coming meeting's discussion.
Okay, all right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Marchant, did you need to add to that?
No, just that we had inquired about extending the decision deadline, and it was granted for us to make a decision at this meeting.
Okay, any more questions about the COA for the ARB? Okay, Mary, next item.
Thank you. The next thing I wanted to ask about was the status of the town center site plan. It says November 27th, the SWPPP has been submitted to the town. Could you elaborate, please?
Absolutely. So we refer to that acronym as the SWIP. And so that is our stormwater protection plan that has been submitted to the town for review and to the outside agencies. So we're just in those final steps there. The town center site plan is ready to go when the town council is. So hopefully this coming budget season, that's something that we can keep on our list of priorities to continue moving forward and talk about. Once we have a signed site plan with those outside agencies, a time clock does start. And so we want to make sure that we don't run out of time and have to start this over again. So I'll present that information at our upcoming budget meetings in the new year. That'll be here before you know it. And so with that town center site plan, I will also be bringing to the attention the town hall interior plans that were done back in the 2016-2017 timeframe. We have probably what I would consider a 60% plan done, and we have it with us. I'm reaching out and getting a little bit more information on that project as I came in at the very, very end of that when it was put on the shelf. So I'll have more to present and get back with you guys, but just while I had the moment, I figured I would go ahead and mention that to council, that you'll see that coming up in the new year.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, any questions on that line item?
I do. So Emily, regarding the site plan, if you don't mind, can you maybe summarize the advantages or benefits of that project to the town and the residents?
Yes, absolutely. So the town center site plan focuses on the town property where we're currently at right now. So a lot of this work is the site plan will be exterior work done in our parking lot. So it not only takes care of redesigning our parking lot for better parking abilities for our tenants that are here, such as Copper Cricket, Cupcake Heaven, and our upstairs tenants, as well as Washington Street Realty. It puts in all of the proper stormwater management for our site, and it helps us to control and regulate the runoff that we have. It would install curb and gutters around the entirety of this site. Again, that's a really big stormwater management feature. We would also be modifying the side parking lot over where Chief's side entry is for his officers that come in and out. So a small parking lot would be put up over there. This would then have a more restricted access to the site from Jefferson Street, not in a bad way restrictive, but it's no longer just a kind of open shoulder where you can come off onto the town hall property. It's a designated entry exit point at the back here by Copper Cricket, and then it's a separate designated entry exit point into that small parking lot. When we do this update on that side of the property, it brings in the curb and gutter enough that we have the room to do a right turn only lane on Jefferson Street headed southbound towards the light. So that would allow for the right turn only traffic to come into that designated lane and make your right turn onto Washington Street headed west. It also will put the connection in for our trail, the asphalt trail that we did 2 years ago, I believe now, in the spring. That will be matching up to our sidewalk here on the site and take it all the way down to the intersection. Another side benefit of this is once we have that connection and the county does their further connection down on Old Carolina at that point, we'll be further connected into the county. And then lastly, it will redesign our green space out front a little bit, but it makes it a bit more functional for our town events, as well as allowing for more parking on site. So the new plan will actually give us about 10 more spaces than we currently have today.
Okay. In terms of cost, approximate cost, what are we projecting?
That I will have to get back to you on. I do not have the approximated cost at this time. It is something we're working on ahead of budget season, though.
If I'm not mistaken, it was, last time I checked, it was a couple $1 million, right?
Yes, and that depends on the magnitude of the interior modifications that we do in conjunction with it. So previously, when this was coming up for discussion, there was some numbers thrown around that it could be as much as $3 million if we had done the inside renovations to include the elevator and all of the site work. So we're working on updating those numbers for you, and we'll have something in the new year to compare.
Okay. So one last question. In terms of prioritizing this project, right? I know we've been trying to complete the park, right? We have a master plan that we've been working towards. So if we had to prioritize between the two, completing what we had planned at the park site and the site plan, what do you think should be the prioritization?
I will say that's a tough one, but I'm going to answer it for you. As your town manager, being financially responsible, I find that the town center site plan should be a priority because we have expended the money to do the civil engineering on it and get it through all of the phases to get an approval. And so that project is ready to go. It is something that we can talk through during budget season, and we can allocate funds, and we can make a plan forward of funding it and going forth, putting out RFPs. Also with that plan, it's something that we've talked about for at least 6 years while I've been here, and I know that you guys have talked about it for many years prior to my coming here. It's something that would finally get our town government to be comparable to other town governments in our county, let alone the Northern Virginia region. So that is one thought I have on it. while it would be very nice and beneficial to do some updates at our town park, we do not currently have those plans civil engineered out. That would take time to go through the process of drawing up what we would like, having RFPs put out for engineering firms to put proposals in, and then work on a plan. While we did have the master plan completed and we could pick that up and we could evaluate aspects of it or all of it in its entirety to build out, that one is not as ready to go as this town center site plan would be.
Okay. Thank you, Emily. In my personal opinion, and I don't know if I agree with that in terms of, again, when I asked the question, it was how was it going to be beneficial to the town residents for the most part, right? Because we are here to do, look out in the best interest of the town and meet their needs, right? So it's a different, I guess, perspective or opinion, but thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Great. And strategically, we are looking into a phased approach where we could spread the money between the two projects if necessary. So, but that's all for discussion when we do start to really determine where we want to spend our money.
And if I may make one request, as your town manager, I would like to request that on your January work session, that as a council, you guys talk about your priorities. I find that with two newer members who've joined us this year, midway through, I think it's time that we all come back together as staff and a council and we do a work session so that we know how to best serve the council and the town. We need to know clear priorities and, not all of our opinions are going to mesh, and that's, the great thing about all of us getting together and working on these projects. But I do think it would be very beneficial and productive for the council to come together and talk through these items, and then let's put them in writing and let's make a good plan for 2024, and let's get some good things done for our citizens. Agreed.
Okay, any other comments on this item? Okay, moving on. Next item, Mary.
Thank you. I was looking through and I saw that Roberto had been working on a pedestrian audit for VDOT. Could you elaborate on what that entailed?
Yes, so this was an audit that was completed several months back. What happens is when we get state funding for projects, we have to then several months to a year plus later go back in and complete all of their appropriate auditing forms to make sure we expended the money properly. So that was what Roberto was working on. That one should probably come off of this list, but it was completed, I believe, over the summer. Yeah, it was completed over the summer, and we passed. No issues.
Wonderful. Thank you. Can I carry on?
Carry on.
Okay. So I also saw for the museum that there was a large desk inside that we then moved to the park house. Is that for storage?
That was a temporary move right now to store it. So I will say if anybody has insight on the desk and its origins, to let me know. We would love to know its origins. But we temporarily moved it so that we could set up for the next event that's going on at the museum. So Crossroads Arts Alliance is hosting a special holiday market. Right now I forget the exact name of it, but they've branded it. They opened it up this past weekend. And so just based on what was in there furniture wise, we needed to make the temporary move.
So a question with that then. If down the line we do get rid of that home and we require storage like that, where would it go?
Well, it could come into town hall. It could have to be moved upstairs. So, it is a discussion of where are we going to have storage. It's a good question. We often are looking for storage places, so it's a good question.
Yep. Well, I imagine that need will not leave as long as we have these tenants or relationships.
And I will say, as staff, we do use some of the easier storage options when things are on the first floor and items are heavy. We don't want to strain, employees, so we don't try to lift it up 2 flights of stairs.
My last one, I promise,
Okay.
at least for this.
No, well, no discussions on that line item, right? We're good with that?
I actually just wanted an update on the Art Alliance pilot program real quick out of the museum,
Yes, so
if I may.
certainly. The Art Alliance is doing really great. They do have an event this coming Friday evening for all of their sponsors and members. It's a little open house. I think they call it a punch bowl. But they're doing one of those events, so if any of the council can stop by, I know it would mean a lot to them. I believe it's 6:30 to 8:30. Otherwise, they have continued to rotate their displays. Like I was saying, they've set up a very nice holiday market in there. So what their goal is to showcase local artisans and have small gifts that are very giftable for the holiday season, whether it be stocking stuffers or small gifts to share with friends and family at an affordable cost. They are continuing to post classes online. They have a website that they're posting everything. They have children's classes as well as adult classes. And they do have a nice lineup for this upcoming month and into the new year. So we're very excited with what they're doing. They did work with us some to host a handmade ornament contest. So we do still have a couple ornaments trickling in. If anybody's listening and did a handmade ornament, there's still time. Just turn it in before Saturday. That tree will be over there during the event, if you will. Please stop by and check it out. But it's our citizens and our community members who wanted to. They created ornaments and put them up on the tree for the contest. So that was very exciting that we had good feedback there. So we will be compiling in January the numbers of how many people have come in and out of the museum. They've been keeping track of class attendance as well as general public attendance. So I'll be presenting those numbers to the town council. And then we'll also give an update on any commissions that they've been presented to the town.
Thank you.
Could you repeat the date for their punch bowl?
It's this coming Friday, December 8th.
Thank you.
It should be at 6:30 to 8:30.
Perfect.
On this topic? Okay. Any more questions on this topic? Okay, next one.
Last one, I promise. Could you give us a recap on the farmer's market? Or did you have a plan to present later?
I have a plan.
Okay.
I do not want to steal Rachel's spotlight. Rachel worked very hard on the farmer's market, and she was here every Sunday about. I was not, so I do not want to speak for her or take that away from her. So what we're going to be doing is working together. She's going to kind of digest all of our events and pull together a nice report, and we'll present that to the council in reflection after the Saturday's event. So that'll to be coming.
Okay.
That's it. Thank
That's
you.
it? Okay, next in line, did you have anything, Matt, for the
I did not.
administrative report?
Nope,
Okay,
I did not.
Marchand?
I just wanted to offer, Emily and I had talked about the signs that they are to be approved for the building. Are we still comfortable moving forward with that, or?
Yes, so originally, to give a very brief update, we got our signs approved by the ARB. We ordered our signs are in. They're ready to be put up. When we had a little bit of a discussion at the end of September, we were looking at going to a unified entry at the town hall building for safety and security measures. And so with that, I wanted to pause on putting up the signs because it wouldn't have made sense to put a sign up and then turn around and close that door and have them need to remove the sign and replace it. We were talking about putting up the signs above what would be my office window and Chief's office window, so they're offset from the PD lobby door should we have gone into a unified entry. Since we're not going to be doing that immediately, and that will take some more time, we are going to move forward with placing the sign above the town hall door and the police door. Based on some of the discussions we're having, it seems like we'll be at least a year out from doing a unified entry. And I think it's important to go ahead and put those signs up and enjoy them. They'll be able to be moved easily once we need to make that change as necessary.
Thank you, that's all I had.
So you have Tracy Lynn, you're next on the line.
So, thank you, Mary. Covered quite a bit of what I was looking at doing as well. Can you please give me a quick update on the light poles? Just a quick little synopsis.
Okay, so the light poles had a little bit of an issue the week prior Thanksgiving or the week of Thanksgiving. We somehow ended up with some bad wiring and a short on the south side of Washington Street. So we're having issues between Jefferson and Green Hill Crossing Drive. So as I kind of briefly mentioned earlier, Matt was working with our electrician contractor on that. They did get it finalized and fixed after a couple days of working at it and essentially testing every pole. So those have been fixed. We have identified a issue on Blight Drive with our street lights. So back at the very back of the cul-de-sac back there, the town has some lights. It appears that there was an issue when a utility contractor came in and did some work, that maybe one of the lines was damaged, feeding electricity to the poles. So we are working on that. We will be getting to it as soon as we can. Our electrician needs a little bit of time to finish a project and get to it. So we're hopeful sometime this week or next week we can be back out there working on them. Okay. We do know there's a citizen who's alerted us to this. We have given them updates and we hope to have it taken care of soon. Otherwise, generally speaking on the lights, Matt continues to work on them, each and every week as things pop up. So he's taking great care of them and doing inventories. We will be having some parts that we need to order to retrofit or change out some of the pole features to make them all more uniform and functional for how we need them. And then lastly, this week on the light poles, he will be putting up our pole wraps for the holiday season. So we abandoned the wreaths. It was time for them to go. We are now working with pole wraps, so he has one out, and then he's going to be putting the other 39 up this week. So,
awesome, thank you.
Generally speaking, that's the light poles in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have anything?
Anybody else have a question on that?
Yes, regarding the light poles on Blight Drive, are they all the responsibility of the town, or a subset of them are the responsibility of the HOA?
So there's two sets. So the first 5 on the west side of the street near the new homes on Blight Drive, those are not the town's responsibility. They're Dominion lights. And those look different than our lights. I believe those are the black lights that are there. And then the back lights, the ones that are currently out, so they start right around Alexandra Keep's entry point, and then they kind of circle that cul-de-sac partially. Those are the town's lights that when the HOA went in, they were turned over to the town.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on that topic, Joe?
Light poles. Yes. Matt's done a great job. There's no doubt about it. The town's looking really, really sharp. And he's done a great job. I know he's worked on those light poles. And I think he's going to have to do considerable work with the electrician as well. So I was going to make a suggestion later, but I'll do it now since we're talking about it. Perhaps he and the town manager can get together and think about maybe moving or turning around the banners to have the banners over the sidewalk and the flags over the street, because they too get intertwined at times in the poor weather and the winds, and it covers some of the banners. So I'm wondering if we could consider some kind of a small pilot within the core area of town, say between Fayette and Madison, and maybe do a little test area as he's progressing his work on the poles. So just an observation and a thought on that.
Okay.
Okay, moving on.
I just had one comment. I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the hard work that's going into our social media posts. I see it, and I love reading the comments, so thank you.
Okay, you
That's it.
done? Alexander, you have something?
Yes, Emily, it looks like there was some activity regarding High Point on some update on November 27th. Can you tell us where we are with that plan?
Yes, so for the High Point plan, that's the one that's located south of the railroad tracks on Route 15, with 4 acres of it in the town and the other 8 located in the county. We have returned all of our feedback and comments to the developer and their team, and Thomas has corresponded with them in regards to those comments, but we have not received a formal response or a resubmission from them. So we are awaiting that. I have asked Supervisor Weir if there's any update at the county level. To his knowledge, he said that they're still working on it in the planning division. When I reached out to the assigned planner, he had informed me that he had been taken off of that plan and is working only on the data centers. So one of his colleagues was working on it. She notified me that she was working on returning comments to the applicant and would do so shortly and copy the town of Haymarket. But I was also informed that the next day she resigned. So I will follow back up with the county staff and figure out who is assigned to the project now that the planner has left, and have an update at the county level, and then the town update is that they've not resubmitted anything.
Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, initially they had, I believe, a primary plan and a backup plan in case we don't approve, the section in the town. Is that still the case, or?
To my understanding, that was still the case at the county level. However, with I want to say with their review, they're on at least the second, if not the third submission. So once I follow up with the county, let me see what they've still submitted. But that was still my understanding, is they have the backup to still do the 8 acres in the county and not do the 4 in the town.
Okay. Thanks, Emily.
Okay, is that it? Joe, you have anything for the administration report?
I sure do. I'll try to be as brief as possible. Emily, Civic Plus, the meetings and agenda, the migration to that new platform, do you have a sense of when that will be completed?
Do you have any update? We do not yet have an update on a final date for turnover. We will follow up with them and see if they can give us a more firm date.
Okay, great. Anything that you want to share on the communication survey plan and draft? Anything on that?
Not at this time.
Okay. With respect to the stormwater auditing that's going to be performed, I'm sorry, not the auditing, but the stormwater assessment done by the county with our match for 40K. Just to clarify, we're going to send them a 40K check. We're not going to get billed and then pay, are we? I couldn't remember.
So I'm working with the county representative on that, and they were going to be speaking to the board, giving them the update, letting them know that we're still good for the 40K match. And then they were going to be following up with the town on how and when to remit payment. So that's a to be determined. I know for Roberto's tracking purposes, we would want some documentation and an invoice of why the money's going out. So we'll be requesting documentation.
Yes, you read my mind. I was thinking about the auditing side. So excellent. I do have a couple quick things. With respect, and I don't know if Thomas is still there, with respect to CVC, Crossroads Village, and the sidewalk, is there any plan for making those corrections? Do we have any idea how that's going to happen?
The stamped concrete?
Yes.
Yes, so they worked on submitting their as-built, and one of the comments from the town staff on the as-built is that they did not properly install the stamped concrete sidewalk, and in order to receive an approval and full bond release, that sidewalk will need to be torn up and reinstalled.
Okay, so they're fully aware, they've been notified,
They have been notified. I personally walked it with Igor and explained the issue. He asked if we would make a waiver and a modification, and I declined that.
Excellent, thank you. With respect to the Blight Drive townhomes, I noticed a little note there at the bottom about a waiver for sidewalk installation. I'm not sure you can enlighten us too much. I'm not sure if that's part of the negotiation, but is there anything you can share about that? Because that piqued my interest.
I will gladly enlighten. This is a project that Thomas and I have been working on for probably over a year now. The individuals, developers came to the town. They want to develop 11 townhouses in a neighborhood setting on Blight Drive to the left in place of the 3 older homes that sit back there. We have been working through the site plan phase with them, and at each phase they have left off the sidewalk that would connect them up to the Blight Drive, other sidewalk connections. Each phase we have asked them to please include it and reminded them that it is a requirement of our ordinance. And we've now gotten down to the approval phase, and it has still not been included. So they did submit a request for a waiver, and again, that has been denied because we do not want to have to accept responsibility for putting in a sidewalk to connect a brand-new development that has yet to be built to the rest of our town. So we wrote our ordinance for a reason. We want to have our new developers put sidewalks in for the residents that they are selling properties to be connected and enjoy the amenities of the town just like everyone else. So that waiver will not be granted, and we are asking them to please put the sidewalk in. I think we're talking about 20 feet of sidewalk. It's not a lot.
No, it's not. Okay, well, that answers that question, so I appreciate that's excellent. And finally,
Hold on, Joe.
Just very quickly.
Hold on,
some
Joe.
Direction in the farmer's market. I know we're going to wait until you collaborate with Rachel. Looking forward to hearing about that as well. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, back to the sidewalk. Marchant, you
So
had a
we
question?
don't
on
have a provision in the ordinance to waive it, right?
Correct. We don't have a provision to waive it. So they were also notified of that, that this is a standard, they need to meet it, and we don't have a waiver provision.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
is that it? Okay, my turn. The playground shade structure. I see it was removed. Do we contract out with the playground contractor that we pretty much buy our equipment from?
Yes, we do.
In that contract, do we also put in a assessment requirement of that shade as they take it down to determine whether it needs any repairs or replacement?
We can certainly add that. Typically, what I do is I work with that contractor to come out once a year and do a general playground assessment. And so what I would do is I would have them come out when the shade is in place and have them look at everything to include the shade and the structure and give us the assessment all at once.
Okay, because, as they're taking it down, I would like to get that assessment so that if we do need to replace it or repair it, we can do it while it's down and get it so that when we go to put it up in the springtime, that it's all taken care of already, as opposed to all of a sudden finding out we're stuck with doing something then.
Certainly.
Okay, Blight Drive was handled. I think that's all of mine. Let me look through my notes real quick. Yep, that was it. Thank you, Emily. Next report, the Treasury report. I was the one that opened that up. Let me get to the page on that. Okay. I see on line item 12210, legal services. We're what? We're 3 months in, and we've already spent more than a third of our amount. Are we going? Should we consider this a red flag? Are we going to need to appropriate some money over to this in the future?
Well, Mayor, yes. This is something that's been on the radar for us. We've been discussing this. Just to make everyone aware, I think we spoke on this early on the past 2 months. A lot of it's project driven. And some of these, with Crossroads now starting to really ramp up work, Pulte, we're having to deal with bond issues at also the Bean, the BZA issue. That's been a part of it as well, that we've had to hopefully come to a conclusion soon. This is something that we will be addressing in our amendments. I will present where the funds will come from, but again, it is something that's project driven, and as a discussion with the finance liaisons for the past 2 years, the need for attorneys' opinions wasn't as often versus now. So that's why you will see this increase. Going back, Emily and I went back in a 5-year period, and any time that the town was in continuing projects, say the pedestrian project or any of that, this seemed to be a standard, the numbers where we're going towards now. So we will be addressing that.
Okay. Do you foresee any gotchas in the future where we need legal focus?
Joe. No, not necessarily, but I do want to add that one of our bigger projects that we've been working on, unfortunately for the span of 4 years, the Bean property issue, we're finally coming to a close on that this week. This is the week that we were scheduled to have a 3-day trial, and so we have reached a settlement, and we are finally closing that out, but that has taken some attorney resources and time to get it to this point and avoid it going into a 3-day court trial. So we will very, very soon see that fall off of our billing, and then we are working on a couple other larger projects. Again, Roberta was kind of touching on this, but a lot of the billing is project-based, and so when we did go back and do our review, we see that when our projects uptick and we have larger work items that we're doing, that's when our attorney bill kind of follows suit. So general matters have been status quo.
Okay.
I'd like
And
to
hold on, Joe. I'm going to open up the finance report as well, since they parallel each other, because you do have a comment on that. I just want to make sure that the liaisons are following and tracking that.
Well, if you notice in the report, item number, bullet number 1, 2, 3, mentions that the legal billing continues to trend high, and that's been for the last 3 months.
Yep.
And that the town manager and the treasurer essentially put a hold on all legal work that isn't high priority stuff, and as well as the prosecution. So they are taking actions. We're satisfied with that, but we're continuing to monitor it very closely.
Okay, and that's exactly what I have my line item here as I show the other liaison here. So that was all I had the intent on opening the financial liaison report about. That's the only thing I have with financials. Anybody else have any questions with the financial report? Okay.
May I add something to the financial side since they opened up the report?
Since the report's opened, you can give us a briefing of whatever you feel is
one thing that has come
highlighting.
across my desk this morning, actually, our contractor for Republic Service, for the trash service, has formally informed us that starting January 1st of this coming year, there'll be an additional $5.12 per home increase. This is due to the Prince William County's disposal fee. If you guys remember, the county, the tipping fee, of $40 per ton. So this is their way of trying to recoup some of those costs that they're going to have to take. At a quick math, it looks like we're okay for this year, just because when we prepared this budget, we assumed that Pulte would be fully active. As of right now, we only have 31 of those 79 homes active, so there is funds there. But it's something I will address with the finance as well during the amendments if I foresee that we should consider increasing it. But again, right now, it looks like we should be okay with our current set budget. But that discussion will come down in the work session as well.
And I'm assuming a bid for renegotiating the contracts coming up anyways.
So
right?
yes, so the town manager is actually reviewing the RFP I've worked on to get that in hopes to get that out by January with a due date of February, end of February, because that'll be around the time when I'm working on the budget. So that will come up in discussion, but we have been discussing that. It's just in the draft review process now, and also as well as before we send that out to legal for their final blessing as well.
Yes. So that just shows you, in general, we will be touching on this in the near future anyways. Joe, you have a question?
No, I just want to follow up with Roberto. This has been something we've been talking about. We have some concern about it, and there's no doubt, not including the tipping fee, that our rates are probably going to go up. So this is going to be an item that's going to become more costly as we go forward. Now, this contract will expire by July 1st. So we need to have something in place by July 1st. One of the things that becomes very conspicuous and obvious is if the garbage isn't picked up. So that's something that is a priority as well. And I know Roberto's working hard on that RFP. He's also, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Roberto, but you can jump in after I'm done. He's also talking to them about and looking at the contract for options on extending the current contract if possible. But we're hopeful that we'll get some significant bids, hopefully somewhat competitive. But given where we are today, it's still going to be costly, more costly than what we've been doing. And that takes into account the new units that have been added to the inventory in town.
Councilman Passanello hit on a lot of good points. And not to dive into it too much, in our current contract, there is an option that we can do a 2-year extension, but both parties would have to be in agreement. With that being said, we did have a visit from a representative about 3-4 months ago. He informed us that, like other jurisdictions, many of them want to go to a once-a-week pickup. Doing a 2-week pickup would drastically increase our fees. So that is something we're discussing. We will have to have a discussion, council as a whole, comparatives versus once a week versus twice a week. But yes, as far as the extension, we're reaching out to the representative to discuss it. But per the contract, we can ask for a 2-year request. We'll be locked in for 2 years, but per our conversation with the town manager, it seems to me that it would most likely double our fees, just because they're looking to get away from the twice-a-week pickup. And he was very transparent about that conversation too. So we'll be looking into it and keep, as it gets closer now, we will keep council posted as well.
Okay. Is that all you want to report on?
Yes, that is all report. With one more thing, I apologize.
Yes.
Councilman Bayene, to your question, we would get more into it when it comes to the financials, but I just want to make everyone aware that we have made the necessary moves to secure the town funds, fully secure the town funds, and we have done a 6 months fully secured CD, as the council had directed last, at a good, really high rate. With the 6 months, doing a 6 months because they would end around June, right around the new year, the new fiscal year, and then gives town council the ability to make decisions if what we go project based or if we keep the funds into an investment. But we would divulge that in the work session coming up. But just want to inform everyone that we have secured those funds, fully secured them.
So it was a very good question, Alexander.
All my questions, right?
They're amazing.
Okay, I'm going to close the town treasurer report and open up the police chief report. Mary?
Yes. Thank you. All right, so Chief, I love all of the events you guys have been doing. I deeply appreciate all the service and attention and care that you give our community and your entire department. So I think it was last week I was driving through, and on Jefferson Street, right at Heathcote, there was a disabled vehicle in the turn lane. And I attempted to call the non-emergency Prince William line, and it rang and rang and rang, went to voicemail. So then I tried to call the Haymarket PD, went to dispatch, rang and rang and rang, and went to voicemail. So I was wondering what kind of efforts could be done to curtail that, to ensure that our town residents can still reach our department?
Gotcha. Great question. The town manager and I have been working on a phone tree for that very reason. Just a little a context here. When I first came here and realized that the phones would roll over instantly day and night to one of our cell phones. Not a great concern, but there was some issues I had with it. But wanting to keep that small town feel and having the public have access to its police department. So what I did was during the night we kept that, but during the day we would switch them to my office number. The problem I have, though, is I'm not always in my office, first of all. And then second of all, we need to track those calls. If somebody Googles police department and we're the closest police department, whether they're in our jurisdiction or not, and they call that number, even if they're not calling 911 when they should be, they call that number, there's information like we might be on a call, I might not be in my office, we can't answer the phone. So then that call goes unanswered. That person gets frustrated, obviously, because they've just called their local police department and can't get in touch with them. Secondly, they could be calling in an emergency situation, and so now there's information lost again. So for me, it was the fact that we wanted a phone that's manned 24/7, that people can answer. And also with that goes FOIA request and tracking of phone calls. If one of the officers is busy and say answers the phone while he's multitasking and then forgets to put that phone call, say it was pretty much irrelevant or didn't deal with our jurisdiction, forgets to put it in the daily rundown, and then somebody FOIAs that information later on, then we haven't done our due diligence in keeping active reporting. So I decided at that time to make sure that all calls were circumvented through dispatch. Now, your call was an anomaly. That those phones are staffed 24/7 by 10 to 15 dispatchers. So again, busy times, work shortages. Can't explain why it wasn't answered. But that's why your second phone call to our office went right back to where the first phone call was at. So again, apologies for Prince William. But the town manager and I, wanting to keep that small town feel, have been working on a phone tree to where if somebody does call our non-emergency number, they get an option. They get an option for an instantaneous police officer response, which would take them to dispatch so the call is tracked, and then properly route it through the CAD system into the MDTs to the officer. Okay? If it's a non-emergency, it could be a salesman, it could be just a local citizen having a question, then they get the option to go to me or the on-duty officer that's working at that time. But trying to get that phone tree worked out has been a little problematic. And then to be perfectly honest, there's things that move up and down, and this one's just kind of bounced back and forth so far. So we haven't been able to nail it down, and that's on me. But we are working on that process to make a better response to our citizens here in Haymarket.
Perfect. I appreciate that attention. I did also want to go further into your report where you talk about Santa Cops East and Santa Cops West. I was wondering if you could elaborate on that for us, please.
Absolutely. Some people might know this program as Shop with a Cop.
Okay.
But considering that with the Fraternal Order of Police who sponsors this event, and all funds are provided through businesses and individual donors. There's no funds that's funneled into this from any government municipality. Provides an opportunity for 100 plus at-risk children that's identified by the Prince William County school systems to Christmas shop for the items that they would like. In a lot of instances, when we take part in these events, we find that a child might have been identified by the school, but maybe not their sibling. And so when we take them shopping and whatever the fraternal order of police collects, they divvy amongst the students or the kids that's been identified, say $70 or $100 or $125. A lot of times we find that the kids that we're actually shopping with are buying for their siblings as well, because they know their siblings won't get a Christmas presents without that. So they label it Santa Cops because it involves sheriff's offices and police departments. So it's not specific to a police officer, so to speak. So it's just cops in general. And that's just how they label it. They do one on the west side, one on the east side. We've already finished the one on the east side. The one on the west side at the Manassas Mall is coming up this Saturday. So the only thing we provide is at least a police officer or two or three or whoever's able to go to actually shop with the children, interact with the children, have a little breakfast, and just, kind of care for them and take care of them for a few hours. Take care of getting their gifts, getting them checked out, and making sure that everything works right. There's nothing else we provide, no other service that we provide, other than basically being there for them to help them shop.
Awesome. Thank you for elaborating.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that's all that I have.
Okay, and I have a comment, I think it's probably on the phone tree. I know I did a redial of a phone call I missed from town, and I think it went in on the secondary line, and that forwarded me to dispatch.
Okay.
So, yeah, check your phone tree out, make sure all that's rung out.
We're working on that. Like I said, it's just been a topic, and then something else comes along and kind of knocks it back down. But we'll get to it. The main thing is, like with Councilman Ramirez's issue, that really doesn't arise that often. Now, the response times by a police officer, whether it be Prince William or us, can vary. But usually those phones are always answered. If they're not, then there is a lot going on that somebody doesn't answer that phone.
Yeah. So I'm glad it went to dispatch. In the worst case, it went to the right place, but I know it could throw confusion for somebody who might want to try to call into town and find out they're with Prince William Dispatch.
We do want to get back to that option to where people here can talk to a police officer from Haymarket. But it's more important that it goes through that emergency line. And there was one more aspect I didn't mention, is those lines are recorded. So if there's pertinent information that's just yelled out or screamed out or given in the first few seconds, an officer might not have heard it, where a dispatcher can rewind, play again, rewind, play again. So for me, it was a safety and security issue, and then secondary was the fact of good record management.
Okay.
Did one thing while Chief's report is open.
Yes, sir.
I'll preface this with apologies if this is the new guy question.
Questions are questions.
So, specific to the QBE property, I'm curious what abilities your department is able to go in there and enforce different parking issues specific to safety, people driving through, coming in and out of all entries and sometimes not entries at all and going even across the lawn onto Blight, things like that.
Right. Okay, reckless driving, be it on private property or public streets, can be enforced. So can DUI, believe it or not. Even if you're driving on your own property with a lawnmower, drunk, then we can do something about it. On private property, when it comes to parking, now that's a different story. Now, we can go there and try to mitigate circumstances, but private property is private property. But how somebody drives on that property can become our purview. It just depends. So if there's a specific example, I could try to narrow it down further for you, or later on we could talk about it and try to mitigate the circumstance. But that's one of the things we do, is just try to mitigate circumstances. Even if we don't have the authority to take any action, we still want to try to mitigate circumstances and have everybody get along.
Yeah, I'm happy to chat with you. I think just as that property specifically has gotten busier with more businesses, as there's more and more people in there, there's been some. I live right there. It's hard enough to get out sometimes onto Washington Street from there, but there's definitely been an uptick in what I would label as anger management issues sometimes among drivers up there. And I think that's just something to be aware of.
And we just recently worked an accident there for somebody going the wrong way.
Thank you.
Joe, you have your pen up?
Well, yeah, I was just going to ask the zoning administrator if she would like to share something or say anything about that. About the park.
Specifically at that property? Specifically at that property, Joe?
I said it was a new guy question, so
So certainly I think that we can, from a lot of different angles, look into it. It's not the first time we've had issues over there. And so I think that we need to reevaluate some different practices and have some more fruitful conversations with the property owners.
Thank you.
Joe.
All right, thank you, Emily, and thank you for that question, Matt. I'd like to ask the chief just to comment. Hey, Chief, I noticed that even though we have excellent average response time, I noticed in November it kind of jumped a bit. Is there anything in particular that you can point to about that?
I was wondering if one of y'all was going to look at that. So doing my due diligence, I actually kind of went back and looked at it when I saw that number raise a little bit, even though not substantial and not outside of what we would like. It was basically due to some complexity of calls. So basically not higher volume, but the calls that we did receive were a little bit more complex, harder to get away from right at the moment. That's what seems to have made that figure go up. And I'm not talking across the board every day. Like I said, it just takes a couple of events to show a disparity there, and that's what you're seeing. So don't look for it to trend that way, or even get worse. And I'm praying it doesn't get worse. But we're still in a very good response time. But that was the reason, was due to call complexity.
Yeah, I agree. Excellent. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
And just one comment. I noticed that in the report you talk about a senior summit. Educational summit.
Yes, sir. I'll just talk on that real briefly. I brought this project forth. I think we started working on it maybe in earnest about 4 months ago, probably a little bit earlier than that we started thinking about it. Mainly the reason behind it was due to elderly scams and educating our older people, which I'm one of. I just don't live in the area. But I've seen it. I want it to be a little bit bigger, kind of like a SALT or a triad meeting, to where we provide services, or not, so to speak, provide services, but we showcase services available to people hitting into that bracket. They might want to downsize their home, or they might want a will or an estate. And so what we're going to do is encompass all of those type of vendors into this event. We're going to hold it at Park Valley Church. Park Valley is actually taking care of the registration and the marketing for us. So we're going to have vendors on site. We're going to could be everything from a wills and estate attorney to real estate agents to home builders that specialize in handicap and special needs accessible housing. Just an array, and of course in-home care, different aspects like that. So it's just educational. They're going to come in, have a few speakers. We're going to provide lunch. We're going to have somebody sponsor and provide lunch, and then they'll be able to talk to the vendors and any specifics that they need. Have something to take with them, a little ditty bag with some contact information and maybe some trinkets. And after a 3 or 4 hour day, they'll be on their way home.
That's excellent. Thank you, Chief. That's a great idea. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. We want to make it an annual thing. This is going to be our first one, so we're hoping that we're able to repeat it every year.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any more questions on the police report? Okay, we'll move on. Next on the list is the town engineering report. Mary?
Thanks, Chief. I wanted to ask, or Chief, Mayor, oh my gosh, sorry. I'm tired. I wanted to ask about the Nova Haymarket Hotel. I don't think I've heard that name before.
Sure.
Come on
I'm
up,
gonna have our
Thomas.
town planner.
Enlighten me, please. Thank
Since
you.
he's here, he's not normally here, so feel free to ask Thomas other
I just
questions.
had to stretch my legs a little bit.
Excellent. Stretch away.
So one of the final pad sites in the Crossroads Village Center development was given a special use permit to either have a hotel with a 75-foot height or a senior living facility with 50-foot height. The J2 Engineers is representing a developer for currently in the first submission site plan, Nova Hotel Haymarket. They will be building to the full height as given in the special use permit. Currently, they're in the first submission. We received it a week ago. Town engineer and myself are continuing to review that right now.
And I'm sorry, could you repeat what their special use permit height limit was?
Yes, 75 feet.
6 floors.
6 floors?
6 floors, yeah.
6 floors.
And how
Hey,
many
I'm sorry,
rooms
Gabe.
are they estimating? I'm sorry, Joe. How many rooms?
I would have to look at the site plan again.
Okay, thank you.
The main concern was just what did the special use permit allow for height? So as we have that as our baseline, I will get back with the council on number of rooms, other amenities associated with that hotel.
You done?
I am done, thank you.
Okay. Marshawn first, then you, Joe.
So the child care center, is that on the same spot as this hotel, or is it two?
It was an option given
Okay, so
via
the-
special use permit.
So the child care center is not happening and the hotel's,
Just an if-then statement found within the special use permit. If it's a assisted living center, when you say child care center, are you talking?
didn't we
about
just
Peay County?
approve a child care center?
That is the parcel just adjacent to the hotel.
Okay, so it's both.
Yes.
And then I assume they're still subject to the architecture review board, their architectural drawings once they're available?
Yes, once available, we will review them and present them to
Okay,
the board.
thanks.
Okay. Joe?
Hey, Thomas. Do you have a sense of the business model for this Nova Hotel?
I did personal research. We don't know if, from what we've gathered, we don't know if the hotel is part of a chain under the Nova name or if it's under something else. The closest thing I found was a chain based in Alberta, Canada. So I think we need to see what the comments are from town engineer and myself, see what the second submission looks like, and as I get in contact with the eventual business owners and representatives for the hotel, I can get a better, clearer picture for you.
Yeah, I've seen Nova hotels in Amsterdam and other places in Europe as well. I'm not sure if it's the same company, but I was curious about that.
It could even just be Nova for Northern Virginia. But once I get more clear information for you, I'll present it to the council and update you on that.
Thanks, Thomas.
Okay, is that the only line item you had for that report?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have anything for the engineering report?
I have a question for Thomas. If I'm not mistaken, the applicant for Crossroads, I think they had proposed developing or building some 2-over-2 townhomes instead of the hotel at one point. Is that the case? Wasn't that the case?
Emily, do you know the history behind that one?
Yes, so the hotel that possibly extended stay, we're not sure, would go in the place of where those 2-over-2 or condo townhome units were originally proposed.
Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, the applicant indicated that since we already have a hotel here, they didn't think it was necessary to have a second hotel, if I'm not mistaken, when they were trying to make their case.
You are correct.
Okay,
That was stated.
all right, thank you.
I have a follow-up question, if that's okay.
Marshawn?
This made me think of a follow-up question. The period of validity, how long is that planned for a special use permit if we approach the period of validity, or is that something we need to follow up on? Okay.
Marchant, when the town council at the time approved that special use permit, there was no end date put on it or expiration date. The mayor and the council did not put a expiration date, and the ordinance it was approved under did not have an expiration date for SUPs.
Did not have a period of validity? Okay.
That's correct.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, any more questions? Pretty good question, Marshawn. I appreciate that. I guess we'll move on.
The only reason I say period of validity is obviously for the certain period of time if it's not diligently pursued.
Yeah.
What that does is allows the town to step in after 5 years, conditions change, traffic patterns change, a number of variables change, and it's a checkpoint for which we're able to step back in and look at it. But if we did not have a provision, the state code has a provision about period of validity, But if we did not have one in the ordinance, then it's sort of it's more a moot point.
Yep, and we've been kind of discussing this behind the scenes and looking at trying to get this into our ordinances. I don't know where we stand with that, though. I don't think we've even approached legal about that yet, have we?
I would have to go back and look at our most recent zoning ordinance revision, because I vaguely recall that we worked on putting something in there in regards to SUP validity.
Yep, because we got a few raw pieces of land that has SUPs hanging on them.
Yes,
Which could totally change as our comp plan changes and redirects what we're looking at the raw land being developed for.
That's correct.
So, yeah, just to make it transparent, we are tossing this around and trying to figure out how to do this appropriately.
It's unfortunate that it didn't have a shelf life because it would be expired by now. It was done in 2018, September of 2018, the SUP was passed. So it's unfortunate. And with that, Mr. Mayor, if I could make a motion?
Well, just one, I did open the financial liaison report just in parallel with the financial report, or the treasurer report. Anybody have anything on the financial report or liaison report that they want to comment on? Okay, and then we'll close that up. Now we can address a motion.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that the town council approve consent agenda items B 1 through 4 and C1.
Second.
Second.
Go ahead, Matt.
Doesn't matter.
Give it to Matt. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Consider that closed. We'll move on to the next line item. Consideration of resolutions 2023-006, -007, and -013.
Good evening, council. Just to brief the public and the council again on these resolutions, per Virginia State Code, in order to better protect the Chesapeake Bay watershed, the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Act requires that we have certain elements protecting the watershed put in writing and visuals for the residents of every jurisdiction in Virginia. What I've provided to the council to consider with these resolutions are 3 updates, one being resource protection area map noted in the comprehensive plan. Also in the comprehensive plan, a narrative describing potential erosion hazards in the town, and then a map associated with that narrative. The main benefits of this, one, we're accountable to the Virginia DEQ and the state, and this will allow us to be in compliance with all the requirements with the CBPA. It gives transparency to the residents and also to the council and puts it in writing what our responsibilities are, or just giving awareness of what the conditions are regarding water and the environment in Haymarket. And it helps us be better prepared for future developments. As an example, the High Point project that we're reviewing falls within an area zoned conservation 1, but 2, it falls within an RPA boundary that I provided a map for. So this will just help better coordinate efforts to make sure that everything's permitted correctly in the town and we're in compliance with Virginia's code.
Okay, Joe, I see your hand first.
With respect, Thomas, to resolution number 2023-007, it looks like there may be a typo at the bottom, that last paragraph.
I don't have it in front of me. Could you read it out to me, please?
It says, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Haymarket Planning Commission. Is that a typo?
Yes, it
Shouldn't
is.
that be town council?
Yes.
Okay. So that'll have to be corrected.
Okay, any other questions, Joe?
No questions. I'll wait for others, but I'll just have
Okay.
a comment before we vote, or if we vote.
Okay, Floor is open for any comments or questions. Nada? Joe, you have anything more?
No, I think it's pretty clear. We've had our discussions on this. We had a public hearing where we had no comment, either in person or via email. So I'm ready to move forward as everybody else is.
Yep, I think we're probably ready because, this has been tossed around since June. So with the Planning Commission having their public meeting at that point. So I guess, do I have any motions?
Would anybody like to make a motion?
Anybody like to make a motion?
How about the Planning Commissioner? Maybe?
All right, I move that town council adopt resolutions 2023-006, 2023-007, and 2023-013, with the correction made during our debate on the 2023-007 to be reflected for town council.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. Last chance for discussion. Let's vote. Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Ramirez.
Yes.
Gallagher.
Aye.
Okay. Moving forward, Board of Zoning Appeals vacancy.
Sorry.
I'm assuming that would be Kim.
I did not put the application in this agenda. You only have the one application, Justin Baker. I gave you his application through the work session. There's been no other interest, either through Facebook or the website for this. Mr. Baker was one of the applicants for the town council vacancy. He's still very interested in filling the vacancy.
Okay, I got Joe's hand up.
I'm just curious as to, Kim, as to the term limit for this. If we make a motion, when will this run through to?
I believe his term, he would be filling Mr. Gallagher's term, which ends in January of next year,
I believe that's correct.
2024. So we would have to reappoint him after January 24 as well.
Well, I think it would then be appropriate having that information, that if the former BZA chair make a motion, I would second it.
I will certainly do that. I will say before I do that, Mr. Baker is more than worthy. I enjoyed my conversation with him leading up to this, and I know he's very anxious to get involved within the community. So I'll just echo my comments again that this is somebody we want to really encourage to remain involved within in any way capacity that he can serve our town. So with that said, I will make a motion that the town council nominate Justin Baker to fill the open seat that was vacated by myself, Matthew Gallagher, through January of 2024.
I'll second.
Okay, you got a motion. It's
Friendly amendment,
Yes, sir.
Please
not
speak.
nominate, but appoint, if,
Appoint, yes. Thank you.
thank you.
It is nominate because they are appointed by the
Oh,
circuit court
yes,
judge.
that's right. My apologies, Matt, you're absolutely correct. So we have to do then, our attorney has to do a writ to the circuit court.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah,
We're nominating him
Okay.
that is,
to be,
I stand corrected, I apologize.
So where do we stand? Did you get the second?
yes, I got a second by Vice Mayor.
Okay. Open for discussion. I got a quick discussion. Since this does end in January, do we want to, move this to take over for the next term? Or do we got to fill an open hole? Because that way we don't have to do 2 writs, we don't have to swear them in twice.
My question, do we run the risk of having a case come in between those two?
Even if a case comes in, I don't think we have to turn it around that quickly, yeah.
You still have a quorum, too.
Joe, you have some comments on this?
Yeah, I think we can do the nomination tonight for the remainder of the term, and we can research a little bit better. I think we could probably renominate next December or earlier. I mean, because we just did 2 at the county this month where their terms are ending at the end of this year. And the way the statute reads is if an individual is not replaced, they can continue in that role until replaced or resigned.
Correct.
So that we would be okay not to do that until next year.
Okay, that's fine. I just didn't want to do any type of redundant added efforts, which would be a fee placed on us by the lawyer writing up the writ, as well as do we get charged for Prince William County oath?
No.
No. But to have to worry about the clerk coming out twice.
No.
So, yeah, okay. Any other discussions? It's up for a vote then. Just for point of information, what's the motion?
It is to nominate Justin Baker to fill the vacancy of Matt Gallagher, whose term will end January 31st, 2024.
And there you go, just for an understanding. So all in favor? Since this is not an appointment, but a nomination, might as well go around the roll call it.
You want to do roll call? Okay. Biene?
Aye.
Passanello?
Aye.
Cater?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Ramirez?
Yes.
Gallagher?
Aye.
Okay. Next item, we have the mobile food establishment ordinance. I'll leave that up for discussion. Any more to say, Roberto?
No, I think, I believe we spoke on it. I guess if there's any specific questions or comments on what we presented, I know Alexander, Councilman Bayena, did email us this week with his concerns and comments. The discussion here is basically to make it feasible for these establishments to be able to come in and do business. Definitely restricted as being here 7 years. I know there's brick and mortars that have invested a lot of time and have been here, which their concern has always been the quick money in and out that these food trucks usually come with. This is something that many townships, cities are addressing now. And speaking with the county, though we hope that everyone does it proper, I know the county has reached out to us, or to me specifically, on certain businesses. And the policing isn't 100% always accurate. So the intent here is to make sure that the town is being covered when it comes to these businesses doing business here, following the guidelines, the state guidelines, to avoid any future issues. As far as this ordinance is to hopefully address many of those concerns, waiting to hear back from council if there's any more questions or direction they want to see going through this.
Okay. Matt, I'll start with you. Your hand's up.
Yeah, no, we've spoken a bit about this. I did mean to email you, but just got a little haven't had a chance to yet. But I will say I have spoken with both residents as well as some of our owners, business owners who this would impact. And I think I applaud you guys for taking this on. I think this you're trying to find a very good kind of happy compromise. I would just, kind of echo some things I believe I said last week, that let's just make sure that we're doing this, make sure we get the wording right. Let's make sure we're doing this, not creating a bigger issue down the road, and that we're, thinking about our residents, particularly, who are going to utilize these establishments, along with the brick and mortar restaurants. And I think just keeping in mind also our business owners who want to leverage that. So I think you guys are doing a good job as far as keeping this conversation alive and listening, so I appreciate that. I will have some other comments for you this week.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else on the dais? Alexander?
So I think to follow up on the concerns that I had last week or during the work session, the email that I sent Roberto and Emily centered around wanting to set a limit in terms of number of days, number of concurrent days. I think most of us agree that we don't want the food trucks to be permanent establishments or fixtures, right, to be there day in, day out, right? So I wanted us to consider setting, again, limitations on both the food truck operators as well as the business owners. Again, to your point, we have to protect the businesses that have made commitments to the town in terms of leases, investments, equipment, what have you, right? And in my personal opinion, food truck operators, they don't have commitments to the town, right? They're doing what's best in their interest, like everybody else, but they can be here today, they can be gone tomorrow, right? So to that end, I think I proposed a number of days, right?
Correct. And thank you for the comments. As always, I appreciate the feedback. Though I would go on record to state it, I wouldn't necessarily support that due to the nature of that business. The way we are proposing it at a $200 fee, renewal fee, in a 52-week year, the food trucks has the ability to break even. If they go in 4 times a month, they pretty much break even. They get those $200 back if they see it in that business in the number sense. Though I do wanted to have some kind of restrictions and stuff. I'm not so sure that as much as I would love to say that I think that's that's something I could support. It'd be too restrictive to do. The nature of the business when it comes to that, for food trucks to be only restricted to come 2 to 3 times a month. I believe those businesses open from Thursday through Sunday, and I think it'd be kind of hard to restrict them to that. But again, that is a council's decision. But from my opinion, I think that'd be a little too restrictive for the businesses to entice them to come in. But again, that is a council decision.
Yeah, I understand your point, but I think based on your statement right now, what you're saying is the town, we should be okay with a business and a food truck operator being there day in, day out, meaning every day. The only limitation that we're going to place on them based on what's currently drafted is 12 hours per day. So that means they can be there every day. Is that what we want?
As long as, well, no, because the zoning, they would have to, with the host business, would have to have an agreement between the town, letting us state the hours of operations. As a zoning administrator, she would have the right to deny that, to make it more restrictive. Like, no, from Thursday through Sunday, fine, and she could restrict any other dates. That is something that we can do as well. I wouldn't be opposed to doing it, making it from a Thursday through Sunday restriction, as I see that those places tend to get busier on the weekends. I can be in favor of that, but again, that would be a council decision. And yes, the restrictions of having 12-hour shifts, I think, is trying to work with the fact that we are a small town. We're half a square mile. As you can see, the referencing package I gave y'all, they're a little more aggressive in other places with only making it 4 hours. But then again, too, they have a bigger map to be able to do business in, while we're half a square mile, and specifically for these businesses.
Okay. So you said that earlier you wanted to protect the businesses, right?
Correct.
So if we don't set such a limitation, how are we protecting the businesses?
By the protection, in talking to businesses, actually, I had a conversation with one of them this week. Many of them seem to be okay with the fact that the breweries they'll be set up at specific locations of breweries and all that. They understand that. In fact, some of them also wish that they could partner up with them. The protection lies in the fact that currently the way it's set up right now, we really have no control factors of where they could set up. Meaning there's really no policing on it. Officers can, cite them and make sure that everything is proper, but there's no real regulations as to being asked to move or revoked any business license. And also just so they're not allowed to set up in front of another business. That's a restriction that a lot of the specific business person I was talking to liked. She's okay with it as long as they're following the rules, paying their permitting, paying their meals tax. She has no issue with that. And as long as we restrict it in a way where they're not worried about food truck popping up in front of their business or just because it's a very convenient site.
All right. I think, again, I don't know if it was the last time we discussed this, but if I'm not mistaken, at least at Fairfax County, there was a limitation on number of days, right? Do you know what was that number of days? I think there was a mention of specific number of days.
I believe they can only go to a certain site for up to 10 days consecutive, 10 days, and after that they have to refile. They would have to refile for a new permit. I think there's a maximum of 10 days, but then they would have to refile. We're not proposing that, because again, it is a small town for us, so we're proposing that this $200 would be for an annual business license. Fairfax County has a restriction as to amount of days, and then it triggers that they would have to file again another permit.
Did we look into as to why they put in place such restriction, whatever you want to call it? Is there, why did they do that?
I can reach out to Fairfax County, City of Fairfax, Tom Cecilia. He is actually the treasurer there. I can reach out to him and kind of pick his brain on it. But I could do that for you and try to come back with some more information on the next work session.
And there, if I'm not mistaken, again, there are some jurisdictions don't even allow food trucks, right? Correct?
Correct.
Do we know why?
Many of them do not allow it. For one, being always number one, from talking to other townships, the number one priority is their in-town businesses. We are lucky to be located in a place where we're a stop, a quick exit out, many of our businesses have thrived. Other places such as Middleburg or Warrenton are not so easily accessible. So to them, keeping the restaurants there is a big help for them. But also the policing of it. This is a task that many of them don't have the ordinances in place. In fact, I believe I talked to the liaisons and I made it mention to you guys. I have other fellow treasurers are looking to me right now to how we deal with it because they kind of have to deal with this issue, but they're looking for guidance as well. Because though compared to the counties, we're small, there's other smaller townships that are dealing with the similar problems with food vendors coming in and taking business away from their in-town businesses. The policing and just the in-town business support is something that's really big as to why they don't want to allow food trucks.
And one last question before I make a comment. Can a food truck operator and a brewery be one and the same? Do we allow that?
That would be a question for zoning.
So repeat that, a food truck operator and the brewery itself.
Owned by the same entity, by the same, yeah. Do we allow that?
What I would kind of envision in that scenario is the brewery opens and operates their own food truck. They leave it there on site in more of a permanent fixtures
Or
kind
they
of.
can move it every 12 hours, but can they be one and the same?
There's nothing currently written that would stop them from doing that.
So again, and I know we might vote on it at some point, but in my personal opinion, I think we need to set limitation in terms of the number of days, both on the business owners as well as the food truck operators. But thank you. Thanks for answering my questions.
Thank you.
Hey, Tracy Lynn, you had your hand up.
I did. So respectfully understand insight to that being business oriented and business friendly for the town. A food truck is going to operate on a profit concept. So they're going to want to be in places at certain times, which is naturally going to limit. They're not going to be someplace on a Tuesday necessarily, unless it's an event. That's going to be a different category as opposed to the mobile food truck, right? I think that being too restrictive is going to send a message of negativity towards having business here. And it would be my hope, they're like incubators, like the farmer's market, where we could have a business come in, they get a good following, they're bringing business to our town, and then maybe we're going to get a brick and mortar establishment with that. And it's the business community does support. So I would love to further discuss that. It would be my opinion not to over restrict, to dissuade. That would be my opinion.
Can I follow up on that?
Yes.
Again, general, okay. In terms of meeting the needs of the town residents and visitors, when it comes to restaurant food options, the first option should be for them to visit one of the brick and mortar restaurants, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with me, but go ahead.
But you know, business models change, and different models can create disruption to other models, and it's just a fact of business, right? What we're trying to do here is just make sure we're not stifling one model from the other and letting them both prosper. So yeah, we want to make sure we're not too restrictive without hurting one, as opposed to giving a benefit to another, and it's a big quagmire. That's why we're having this debate and discussion.
Yeah, I agree with you. We don't want to be too restrictive, but what I'm saying is we should have some restrictions. We can compromise on the restrictions, but I don't think 12 hours per day is a good enough restriction, just having only that restriction. But
okay. Joe, your hand's been up. I don't know if it was for previous or...
Yes, I have a couple of comments. First, I want to just say Great Maine Brewery. Matt, I didn't catch his last name. I'm glad he showed up tonight and shared his thoughts, but I want to remind him, and Roberto, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to be doing a public hearing on this, correct?
Yes, once council feels that there's a solid draft date, we can have Olon, our town attorney, review, make sure that everything, is the way he would want it to look. We will announce a public hearing where, the businesses and residents can discuss and comment.
So this essentially is a straw man, what we're talking about, this document. And I guess the concept is to go to a public hearing, get feedback, if any, from the public at large, but also to reach out to the businesses, both the businesses that are supported by the food trucks and other businesses as well. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And, my opinion, I think I'm going to reserve my opinion until I, hear some more feedback and read what Matt submitted today. I think we have to just keep in mind that the food trucks are supporting town businesses as well. I mean, it's not that they're not town businesses. They are. And it's an important element of their attractiveness. So we have to be, I think we're looking for a Goldilocks solution here, I think. But, we need to be mindful of that as well. So when are you thinking of the public hearing? Are you looking for direction tonight on the public hearing?
Well, a date would be great. A date would be great to keep it moving forward. But also, just so you guys are aware too, currently we do have 3 vendors that have been in compliance. We have other ones that are actually waiting for this decision because in discussions, I've been very transparent with them about this, about the fees and everything. And to them, it's a lot more feasible. And they actually would love to participate once this is set in place. Currently, some businesses just do not want to be in the wrong, not complying with any other businesses. They take pride as well. So yes, a date would be great to have, but that also would mean that what we present, I guess we would have to have more meetings, either offline comments to address some of the concerns as Councilman Bayena has, and Mr. Gallagher, Vice Mayor, to go forward with it. Because we do, due to our legal bills, I do want to present Olam with a pretty solid ordinance for him to actually review and not have to do too much work on it, as it gets costly. But it's something we do need in place, and he's aware of it. He was actually the one who gave me the reference material, and as well as fellow treasurers.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I did, but I'll wait. I can be patient.
To Mary.
Thank you. Actually, Vice Mayor took my thought and shared it aloud for me. The thought of bringing in new businesses and allowing them an opportunity to see if our town fits their needs and they fit ours could result in people permanently being here. And, that's the kind of growth that I would really love to see, small businesses like that. I imagine most food trucks do not have like a big company waiting for them. It's like normal mom and pop kind of things. I will say that a one-time fee of $50 to get a permit from us for zoning seems appropriate. And then a $200 business license. You need to have a business license to operate in our town, and that holds us accountable for taxes and everything, and that opens up a line of communication. And I think that's probably the most important piece of that relationship, right? For us and them, the communication and that connectivity, and hopefully we can foster positive relationships with that. I do understand a concern as far as limitations go, us turning into like a parking lot for food trucks. And I understand that's why we put a 12-hour limit on that. I think everyone here is aware that parking is pretty limited in our town, and we don't want it to be taken up with a large food truck. I do appreciate the specifics in here of where they can and cannot park. I think that will be a nice way to remind people that just leaving a food truck in the grass is not a good idea. And, we need to have proper trash receptacles that will not overburden our, public trash bins and everything. I feel like you guys have thought this out. And, I think that if something were to arise, we could always correct it as necessary. I err on the side of where we're at now with this, as opposed to being extremely restrictive. I would err on the let's see where this goes, and if tweaks need to be made and issues arise, then we can correct as needed. But I would like to assume the best in everyone. So that's it. Thank you.
Marshawn?
So I understand the direction we are to come back with another version that proposes some additional specificity on the timetables, which I agree with. What I would hate to do is, I can sense, I'm sorry, a lot of thoughts about this, got to organize it. So an ordinance has to have a goal and objective. If it's too loose, the standard is open-ended and hard to enforce. If it's too restrictive, we discourage. So I think there has to be a medium in between. What I would hate to do is be too not restrictive enough. No one's going to want to come back and have an ordinance that's more restrictive. So I think the baseline we need to establish, I think, which is reasonable, is beyond just the 12-hour, and I believe most ordinances say this, most events ordinances say this, no more than so many times per week, no more than so many times events per month. And strike that balance and then revisit it, to your point, revisit it later. So it sounds like that's the key point we're trying to come back with. Is there a reasonable compromise or a reasonable standard for events per week or events per month? Is that where you're?
Are you talking about for the food truck?
For the food
How many
trucks.
times they can visit one establishment or all three establishments listed here?
What I was thinking is putting, I know the restriction, I keep on saying restriction, both on the business owner as well as food truck operator. Because during the work session, I said putting the restriction just combination of both or only on the food truck operator. But if we only place such restriction on the food truck operator, the business owner can have a different food truck operators on their site every day if they wanted to, right? So I think we have to look at it from both perspectives.
And that wasn't the intent, correct? The intent wasn't to have people there coming day after day after day. That wasn't the intent, correct? So there's got to be a way to temper that in a reasonable way.
So can I play devil's advocate?
Sure.
So we had a business owner come in today and describe how his business is limited due to the inaccessibility to brick and mortar, hence the need for a food truck. So when I hear a business owner explicitly state he has an obstacle and we are going to further limit his ability to overcome that obstacle and that it may discourage business for him, that kind of makes me hesitant to move towards that direction, because I'm hearing directly how our decision will negatively impact his business. And he has actually come here and advocated for himself and his business, which, attendance here is pretty low. So this is, it means a lot. I really want us to really think hard about what these decisions might imply for this business owner who is here today.
If I could add on to that for a second, one of the things that was said today, because that was one of the things I mentioned, there was a specific comment that, sales decline when a food truck is not there. And that business owner is still a business owner, just like every other brick and mortar store in this town.
To your counterpoint, right now they don't have anything at all, correct? So the baseline is nothing today, and we're trying to establish something, correct?
I'm sorry, baseline of what?
We have no ordinance right now that establishes or permits food trucks. So to say that we're further limiting, I think right now we're making it permissive. Right now we have an ordinance.
They would, as I understand it right now, I think they would have to get the same business license that any other business would need to have,
But the frequency and duration, correct?
Hey, staff, real quick, going to just add to this. Today, as it stands, if a food truck were to come into the town and properly get permitted, they are paying a $500 itinerant merchant fee. So it is, while it's still the same business license, the fee is a little different. If, let's say Matt was coming in and opening up his brewery tomorrow, he would come and pay a $35 business license fee to open his doors and start, along with a $50 zoning permit. And so that itinerant merchant for a food truck coming to visit him for one night tomorrow and service would be paying a $500 itinerant merchant fee and should also be applying and paying for a zoning permit. So what we as staff are trying to do is listen and hear out and make this more obtainable for the food trucks, but we also want to make it fair across the board. We also don't have all of the time and resources to chase down food trucks on the weekends. And so we need something where we can all meet in the middle, whether it's, staff, council, food trucks, and business owners. We need something we can meet in the middle that is the price is right and that the desire for them to come in and permit and do things the right way is there. So it's not cumbersome on the business or the staff and the town.
The only thing I would add to that is that currently, when it comes to sales, as a treasurer, I can see everything. Now, one thing I'll tell you as well is that we're being very lenient. So though we are reaching out to some of these vendors, we still know there's vendors there. We have not changed that. So currently, business is being conducted every weekend there. 3 out of the vendors that have come there have applied or following the ordinance. So the continuous of business is going on. Talking to other treasurers, they feel that why have I not enforced it? They have no license to just kick them out. To save that embarrassment as a business owner, I don't want to put them in a predicament where people are being asked to leave. I have not gone that far. I do not want to go that far. What I'm trying to establish is just rules, a form that later on, if something were to happen, we can go back to. They need to appeal. There's just expectations on both ends. So with that being said, I think the goal here is to just make some rules and regulations that people can follow and be fair with everyone involved, and including protecting the town as well. Because, you know, we would have to answer if anything were to happen. Our police would have to answer if anything happens in these places. Similar to what was brought up in the QBE. You know, this is kind of a way to help also, you know, give our officers the ability to enforce certain things as well when need be.
Let me say this back to you then. So itinerant merchant, $500, unrestricted in the number of times they can visit a business. Is that correct? Okay. For the year.
So that runs May 1 to April 30.
Okay. So in theory, this example over here at Great Maine, that food truck could be there. As many food trucks as long as they pay their itinerant merchant, as many trucks can be there any day, all day. And their meals tax. So the incentive of the ordinance is a lower fee, but we're being more restrictive.
Correct.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is place standards on
Understood.
it.
Understood. I agree with you. So the only other, so that's, I understand better the trade-off, and I apologize when I answered earlier versus nothing. I think that I misunderstood that part of it. The only other counterpoint, playing devil's advocate, is that the one brewery on this end of town is very limited in terms of food that can be on site versus our other brewery, which has 3 restaurants, I think, around it. So that sort of sets it up for an inequity right there that I don't know how that we address through an ordinance. So, but
Limiting where they can be is one, not in front of another
Gotcha.
location, and it needs to be in a designated parking spot.
So the question we need to answer here is that, are we okay with having a food truck at a brewery every single day? 1 or 2 hours. Are we okay with that? Meaning, I know they are limited to 12 hours. And is that fair to the local businesses, to other restaurants? Is that a fair competition from the cost of operation perspective? Is that fair?
Well, the question is, if you require them to spend the same business license fees as what a brick and mortar does, and the owner of that property that they're sitting on allows them to sit there, whether it's rent-free or with rent, it's the same thing, right?
No, cost of operation is totally different when it comes to the brick and mortar model, and then the food truck. It's not a fair competition. I'm all about
But it's still fair because we're charging the establishments the same amount.
I'm not looking at it from what we're charging them. I'm talking about from a business owner perspective of other restaurants. I'm not looking at it from the town perspective as far as what we're going to gain from it, right? I'm looking at it from the business owner perspective. Is that a fair competition in your personal opinion, knowing the cost of operation for the brick and mortar business model as opposed to food truck? I don't know. I don't think it's the, you know, but.
Okay, Tracy Lynn's been patient, so I'll get you right after Tracy Lynn.
I was just going to say, in comparisons, it would be anytime a restaurant were to open, regardless of what the
What its operation model
right,
is.
exactly. It's it could be a different model, it could be a different thought. It's competition, but it's healthy competition. It's not anything, I wouldn't dissuade a brick and mortar store from opening because I have 12 restaurants already in existence. So I see it, but I'm not quite on board with it.
Yeah, if I was a business owner, a restaurant owner, I wouldn't think of it as at the same level. I wouldn't. I know. Like,
No, that's good. Yeah, no.
We don't.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I just wanted to toss out one thing for the council to consider. If we do go the route of making this more restrictive, I would like for you guys to consider giving the host business the option to pick the days if you are open to that, because we heard tonight from Great Maine that they have different groups there. They have a trivia night, they have bunko night, and special, things that are happening. And so they know best what nights their customer base is the highest. It could be a Wednesday night. And so I think we should consider, do we allow them 4 out of every 7 days to have a food truck on site? 3 of the days have to be off. So just keep that into consideration, but also keep into consideration in all of this discussion when we do revisit our special event indoor and outdoor ordinance and we rework that, is there an option there that should the Great Maine team want to host a special trivia night, are they allowed to apply for that under a special event license versus it being one of their food truck nights? So just some things for you guys to think about as we go through the discussions of how can we make it restrictive and meet the goals and, you know, suggestions of council, but also meet the business in the middle.
Can we take a straw vote on whether or not we want to revise the ordinance for a more restrictive standard?
Could we first clarify what type of correct restrictions you're looking for?
So-
Like if there is an agreed amount of days, I don't know, I could straw vote that. I don't know if I could do restrictive, not restrictive. I think that's too general. I need a little bit of a better idea of what we're talking about.
I provided, again, I'm not an expert in this, and I provided my email number of days. And again, I think what's best is to engage other jurisdictions and learn from them. It looks like they've looked into this, right? They have put in place such ordinances or policies, right?
So other places, everyone's kind of trying to play catch up. After COVID, this has been a big issue with other places. The counties obviously have more policing, have more funds to establish what they want, right? In discussing this, so right now, what I'm hearing, would council would consider maybe doing if you want to restrict times for hosts to have a ability to do Thursday through Sunday, which is essentially 4 days in a month, is about 16 days that they can operate food trucks. If and when there's a special event any other day, Wednesday, Monday, for them to apply for a special event, which would not always necessarily be guaranteed, but at least there is an awareness that it may happen as one-offs. Would council, consider that? Because if you're talking about Thursday through Sunday, that's 4 days a month. So pretty much you're saying 16 days out of 30, 30 to 31 days. That's less, that's about half of a month. Would that restriction be something that you would be?
Yeah, I don't think we need to restrict it Thursday through Sunday. Just give them a number of total days within a 52, within a year, right? And then let them decide when to use up those days.
So, but the problem with that is that if we're going to allow them to choose, they could have different days at this place. So the policing of it, or you're stating that they have to come in and all be in agreement that these are the same dates they want to use? You're saying they let them choose the dates.
Let the individual
Business choose the dates, yeah.
Can I make a
Give
suggestion?
them a maximum number of days within a year, right? And then,
Business A and Business B could have different dates.
yeah.
Based on Roberta's example, could I offer a suggestion? Do it by month. No more than 16 days a month, no more than 4 consecutive days in a row. How does that sound? If that's Thursday through Sunday.
The reason why I bring that up, Councilman Mayen, is because some restaurants after COVID, what they have gone to is the format of they're closed Monday through Wednesday, some up till Thursday, and they literally just open up when it's the busiest, which is the weekends. They're opening from Thursday to Sunday, very limited hours. Just running in up the street in Marshall, they're opening Thursday through Sundays, and they're busy. But the rest of the week they're not open. And that's the reason why I'm thinking, to try to try to address your concern, but also be mindful of the businesses, because I do want everyone to be successful in this and want it to be a partnership. A possibility of considering, 4 days out of the week being the weekends where most people tend to want to go out, on the weekends.
Yeah, we want everybody to be successful, all the businesses, but I'm going to be a little bit selfish. I'm going to be selfish as to wanting the businesses, again, that have made a commitment to the town to be more successful first, right?
I understand.
And I know the business owner, again, I sympathize with the business owner. We want them to be successful, what have you, right? But he made a specific comment. He said, we allow people to bring in food. So, the possibility is that these individuals, the patrons, are currently bringing in food from one of the local restaurants, right? Correct? Possibly, most likely. So
Ubering a meal, right?
Can I offer that we start with that then? Can we start with that idea and see what that looks like? 16 days, no more than 4 consecutive days in a row at the discretion of the business owner on how to allocate those days.
That's more than the number of days I was hoping for, but again, I'm not.
Joe, you have a suggestion on the times too?
Personally, I think we have a straw man that's, I think we can present to the public and to the businesses right now. I'm wondering, and this is a question for town manager Emily, when we talk about whether becoming less or more restrictive as part of your presentation to the public at a public hearing, if in fact you can address or at least present some of those other ideas that are out there to kind of prompt some feedback from not only the brick and mortar, but also the folks that are in need of the food trucks. Could that be, this is not ready for prime time right now. It's not going to go anywhere as far as being, and I know that's a Bob statement, but he's always dear to my heart. You know? So anyway, it's not ready to go, but we need to get other feedback, right? I mean, self-admittedly here, we're all not sure exactly what it should look like. You know, we have opinions on it should be more restrictive, it should be less restrictive. You know, maybe we need to get it out there more into the public domain, and get some feedback not only from folks that need the help, but also, you know, make sure we notify our businesses, our brick and mortars, and get some feedback from them as well, and
Yes.
provide this information. So I'd like, you know, Emily just to kind of, you know, respond to that, or whether it's just not worth it, or you'd
Cogitate
rather
on
get
it.
something that's closer to a compromise now.
So, twofold. Yes, we will reach out to the business community. We have our upcoming January meeting, our quarterly roundtable that we'll be holding. So I'll work with Alexandra and we'll go ahead and get an email out letting them know that this is a topic that we want to talk about and we want their feedback at the meeting. And if they can't make the meeting, can they share it to us sooner? Hopefully with this discussion, some of them tuned in tonight, but hopefully even Matt, as a representative of our business community, he might reach out to some of his fellow business owners. So we'll do our part. Hopefully the business community will help also spread it as well. For the council though, Roberto and I have, thoroughly researched. Roberto's done a lot of the grunt work here, pulling together these ordinances, combing through them, and preparing a document for the council to review. So I think that, before we leave tonight, if we can have, whether it be a straw vote or some form of feedback on what items you need to see in this ordinance to make it ready for prime time, we would appreciate that direction there. If it comes down to researching and finding localities and how they put additional restrictions and having that as an option, let us know. But if there's other missing links, now's the time. If you guys can share that with us, that'll help us be productive in our efforts forward.
Okay, so we'll go around the dais then with the comments on that. Did you want to start, Alexander?
Yeah, again, I don't want to set the direction here, or I can't even set the direction here, but again, to repeat myself, I would like to put in place add some sort of restriction that would limit business owners and food truck operators in terms of the number of days. It could be a month, it can be on an annual or a year basis, but I would like to see that restriction added to what is currently in the draft. And then I don't know if I don't like the idea of just leaving it as is and then not at least having the business owners and the town residents consider other possibilities, right, in terms of restrictions, and then asking them to provide their feedback. I don't think that's in our best interest. So,
Tracy,
I would be open to bringing it to the Business Roundtable and having that discussion. I'm not necessarily for additional restrictions, but I'm open to discussing what that might look like.
Okay. I'm going to interject just to be part of the line. I don't want to wait till the end. And I have the power. Okay. I like the topics that you hit on. I mean, parking in front of other establishments, what kind of space is required to be parking at, and all these restrictions. I think what it's boiling down to is, how long we let them sit there and how many times we let them sit there. Maybe those are the real topics that need to be thrown out to the business roundtable is what do you feel is a good compromise for how many times, how long, and the pretty much the aligned restrictions you have, how much space they're allowed to have, especially if like I know I've been to Great Maine and they have their own little outside courtyard, and then next to it's kind of like a grass space. A lot of times they have their people parking over near the grass space, so they're not even occupying parking spaces. So, are there any topics that need to be restricted in that sense? Those are some of the things that could be brought up. But yeah, just target all the alignments that you had where you can't take up too many parking spaces, you can't park there overnight or whatever. You can only take just how many times. I mean, there are definitely segmented sections in which you can get feedback and all of that. And I'll pass it on to Marshawn.
Okay, so the idea is to lower the barrier based on cost, and right now we've not seen a proliferation of food trucks, or at least those that are established per the ordinance. And I see of us reducing the barrier to that is going to invite more people, and we might have an unintended consequence of more food trucks than we can handle. The baseline we just gave is reasonable. If the feedback we're saying is most of the business is from Thursday to Sunday, that's 4 days, there's 4 weekends in a month, it's good to start with 16 days a month. If we have folks that need to do it during the week or have a preference doing it during the week, then they give them the discretion of those 4 consecutive days anywhere or arbitrarily where they see fit. And there can be some coordination to talk about how to audit that for the town staff so they're not out there, because it's going to be a reactive ordinance. It's not going to be a proactive ordinance unless someone responds. So I would suggest we go ahead and start with that baseline, 16 days a month, no more than 4 days in a row, see what the feedback is to that, and then tweak that as necessary.
I appreciate the clarification in the mobile food establishments may be operated from an approved location subject to the following procedures. B, it says a maximum of 2 mobile food establishments are permitted at any one location at the same time. So I appreciate that clarification. I feel like that is fair, considering that I think that would limit the rodeo circus that's being described just a moment ago. I don't think that we're going to have more than 2, obviously per this requirement, at the 3 locations. So that would be a maximum of 6 mobile food trucks. So I do want us to pay attention to that, and I do want us to heed a business owner who has reached out to us. I personally feel like when somebody comes in and speaks up, that means a lot, and it says something, and we should respect that and validate that and take that into consideration. And so I'm not 100% sold on limiting to just weekends. We've heard articulation that they need more than that, and I don't know, I'm not really for restricting people's success. So. Yeah, you made it sound like they were going to swarm us like a hive.
Personally, I like the idea of a rodeo.
Food truck rodeo.
But that's going to be another ordinance that we discuss another day. I'm not a big fan of restrictions on businesses. I heard tonight, business owner come in and talk about, the declines. I'm very familiar with Great Maine. I'm very familiar with a lot of the other breweries in the area. I think that it's food trucks are part of a brewery culture, frankly. I mean, that's part of what they do. I've been at Great Maine. I've gotten hungry there, and it is a specific location that's a little bit more difficult to work in. It's different than when I'm over at Truvade, when I'm in the QB facility, where I do have a lot of other options right there. So there is a difference. I would be if we were going to put a restriction on it, I think going to a Thursday to Sunday or something along those lines would be probably something I could get behind. I would be supportive of that. I would prefer to not do it, but I would be supportive of it because the reality is that's likely when the food truck would be needed. But I would want to speak with the business owners, both the brick and mortar stores here, as well as the brewery owners. And I would encourage that be a discussion as part of the business roundtable so that we can get people's feelings where on this. I think in the same breath, I think it's, as the representatives for this town, I think it's incumbent upon us to speak to our neighbors. I think we need to speak to our residents too, right? And it's the residents who visit these facilities, both in town as well as out of town, right? And see what they want. Right, and let's just, let's talk with them. I know I talked to some of my residents, some of my initial concerns about this ordinance. Frankly, a lot of people told me I was nuts. So I said, okay, I'm good with letting that go then. All right, that's it's good to listen to our residents as well. So I would like us to avoid as many restrictions as possible. I think we've done, again, I mentioned it early, I think the town staff have done a phenomenal job of trying to get to the spirit of this, which is a good compromise. Yes, there's work to be done on it. Yes, we need to do a few more things. And the only other thing I would add to it, I don't want to add one more thing, but we said we want to make the brick and mortar brewery owners who are part of our town community, we want them to help with some of the policing of this. I think if we do that, I think there was a request made tonight, which makes a lot of sense, which is, how can we give them some visibility into which of the trucks might already be approved or not approved, just to make it a little bit easier on them. So I think that's something that we might want to write into this as well, just to make sure that we're being good partners with those business owners.
Joe.
Well, good points. Before I comment, I just have a question for staff, for Emily and Roberto. I get the concept of a somewhat generic 16 days per month, rather than the Thursday through Friday or whatever. My question is one of tracking. Is that problematic from an enforcement perspective? Is tracking problematic for you folks? Because if it's up to the business owner, who's keeping track of that, or is this going to be an honor system?
So I think the way I would answer that, Joe, is either option is going to present us with a little bit of a hurdle to figure out. And so it's not doable. I mean, we can do it, we can accomplish it. The way it's going to have to be written in the ordinance is that the zoning administrator or whoever is tasked with enforcement and or his or her designee is able to accomplish the enforcement aspect of it. So basically, I will be able, if it's myself as zoning administrator, I will be able to give authority to have one of our officers police it when we're not around. So the fact of it is, as it stands today, and it will tomorrow and whenever this gets passed, we're not here after a certain hour during the week, and we are not here on the weekends. So staff currently would not be able to track it in the same way that our officers could assist us with, or a person in a different position could assist us. So what we would be looking at doing is teaming up with the police department to monitor it, but we would also hope that we're working with our business partners in a very truthful, open, and transparent manner. I don't feel that, that's going to be of any issue. I think that what we could do is we could ask them to, submit to us as soon as they know it, their schedule, whether it be, can you submit it to us a month before when you're paying meals tax, or, we can figure out options for tracking and enforcement. We can think through how we would write that in the ordinance It'll be more cumbersome if we write in the ordinance that you have to submit to the town your weekly schedule of food trucks, and if you don't do so by close of business on Friday the week prior at 5 p.m., you can't do it. That's not enforceable. That's not going to work for us. We have a lot of other things going on. So we'll have to be creative, but all that to say, we'll work with the officers. We'll send letters appropriately if they've overextended their days. We'll send letters appropriately if food trucks aren't licensed. I don't know if
Yep.
Roberto has anything to add to that.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that answer, Emily. I'll have to think about that a little bit. But I think what I'm hearing, at least from a couple of members, and I kind of agree, is more of the intermediate step right now. Going back to the businesses and the business roundtable and trying to gather some feedback on some of the ideas that are out there before we put it out for a public hearing. So if that's the case, I can support doing that.
Okay, now any real dire questions by any of you guys? But I think the direction is let's hit the round table and get some feedback before we move forward.
Are we getting the feedback with what was described earlier? These are the ranges of opportunities the council discussed, whether it be these days or the other, okay.
Yes, and I'm going to toss this out there. You guys can do a quick straw vote. Is this something that you would like for us to post on social media to the greater Haymarket community?
Draw vote?
Yes.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't see why we wouldn't.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Will
can we
the-
make it direct like the recent House
Yes,
post?
I was going to ask, will one of you as a council volunteer yourself to work with staff on the wording of the post so that council's comfortable with it? Is
I was going to say, I'm more than happy to work with you.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll work on, you guys work on some language. I can give you some ideas. We can talk about it together, but we can go ahead and get that out there so that we're getting community feedback from hopefully some residents, community feedback from the greater Haymarket community. Our businesses can see it there. They can see it in the roundtable. They can see it in an email from us. And then because now we have the time, we can also put it in our upcoming newsletter in January. Alex can write us a little article about that and send them to the website for more information.
So to collect feedback, are they going to be email forms to Kim or?
For this?
Yes, the feedback we'll receive from this post from the Business Roundtable. How are we encouraging that feedback to be tracked?
So we can talk about like if we do a poll on Facebook where it's just like right there, they answer it and we get a result back. We can put in there like for additional feedback or additional comments, please feel free to email us or send us a message on Facebook. That stuff doesn't get deleted, so we would have that and we can, I can work
Comfortable
with.
your discretion
Yeah, I
between
can work with
Alexander,
Alex
Tracy,
and we
you.
could document it appropriately.
Cool, thank you.
I think Joe has his hand up.
Question?
Yeah, Emily, and we still have the database, right, of the businesses in town that you can email as well?
Yes, Alex keeps that up to date. So we do have that. And so what I can do is as soon as we have something ready for Facebook, we can also send an email out at the same time to our businesses. Let them know this is coming. Let them know it's going to be a topic at our business roundtable in January. So they have time to prepare comments and they're not caught off guard at the meeting.
Okay.
Anything
Okay.
else?
I think we're all good up here. You good, Emily?
Yes.
Roberto? Okay, we'll move on then.
Before we move on to
Sorry.
council member time, I need to readdress the BZA. I went back and I looked, and your term expires January 31st of 2025, not 2024.
Oh.
You just re-upped.
So we need to.
I thought I was 24, I really did.
Okay. Friendly motion or friendly amendment?
I make a motion to amend my, to nominate Justin Baker to the open BZA position vacated by Matt Gallagher. That will run through January 31st, 2025.
I'll second.
There's a second. Okay, go ahead and roundtable it.
Aye.
Casanello?
Aye.
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Ramirez? Yes.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to council member time. First one up, Matt Gallagher.
It's late, so not much for me tonight. I will just say I'm really looking forward to, anyway, if there are town residents still listening, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Saturday at the Haymarket Holiday event, and wishing everybody in the town a very joyous and peaceful season.
Okay, Councilmember Mary Ramirez.
Thank you. So I was going to touch on the holiday season, wish everyone well. I also was going to break it down, but I won't. I do want to draw attention to Wreaths Across America. It's very personal to me, and they will be doing it at Arlington National Cemetery on December 16th. Volunteers are welcome to come with their families and lay wreaths as early as 8 a.m. Please use the metro system. They're also going to have a wreath laying ceremony at noon. So if you find yourself eager to acknowledge and offer your appreciation for those who have served our country, that would be a great way to do so. I did also want to talk about the famous Facebook post that I love so much. I loved how direct our post was about the park house with the picture and very clear layman's terms verbiage. I would love for it to be edited to add more descriptions as to what exactly was agreed upon by council so that our public is properly informed. I feel there was some information left out. I would love for staff to consider amending that if that is okay with council and okay with our attorney. Because I think that full, clear, and direct communication is how we are successful. I would actually like to use that post as a template, draft template, of how we communicate further. I like being direct. I like engaging the public in that way. The simple, here's our agenda, please read it, isn't as catching and engaging. So I did want to put that to staff and to council to think about, and we can address it at our next meeting. And then, I did also want to say our next meeting in January, I would love for us to do an organizing meeting, an organizational meeting, for us to like revisit roles and just catch everyone up, because we do have 2 new council members who did not have the opportunity to participate in something like that before. And I would really love for us to have that opportunity together. That is all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Marchant Schneider.
Okay, to give some context, the ARB, during its consideration of demolition of the park building, one of the discussions was to notify or provide an announcement on Facebook. We typically now announce the agendas on Facebook, but this was specific to that, especially since there's public interest and it's a public property. It was a very basic, the council has submitted a demolition application, and the ARB is continuing its discussion on December 6th. And we added the picture so people could see it. I had deferred to town staff as well if there's some amendments that can be made, and certainly, and Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, was that was expanded to be a clear, to your point, a clear saying this is what the council, this is the context of what the council is doing. So that is a template. I think that was at the request of the ARB that be posted, and it was a collaborative effort with the staff to get that done. So I don't think there was any ill will or anything else intended. That was just a good practice that we can hopefully continue to to match going forward. So, okay. That being said, I wanted to also disclose that I had gotten calls from Ryan Morgan and Sergio Zizios about the firehouse property, that there was a request to come back in or some interest in coming back in and redeveloping the property. One of the challenges we're having with redeveloping property in town is these small lots, is that the majority of the property is having to be taken up by parking. This is an ongoing issue. So we spoke with them about the challenge, or about the challenges that they're facing. But in any case, when we met, any constituent or any business owner that reaches out to me as a council member, I will answer the call. And in this case, they presented their concerns. As always, we encourage them to talk to Emily. Emily has encouraged the, especially Mr. Zizios, to reach back out again, and we'll continue to hopefully have those discussions. But I do believe as we redevelop a lot of these properties in town, we are to, much like we have in the past, we visited our parking ordinance a number of years ago, trying to address the redevelopment challenges in town. We may need to revisit that ordinance again to make sure that we are setting the right balance between parking and the needs of the community. So anyway, heads up that discussion's happening on the firehouse property, and hopefully they will, Mr. Zizios will reach back out and connect with Emily on that. So season greetings, happy holidays, thank you very much.
All right. Councilmember Alexander BNA.
Yes, for the sake of time, happy holidays to town council, town staff, and residents of town of Haymarket. That's it.
Okay, Councilmember Joe Passanello.
I'll defer any comment on on the firehouse until the next meeting, but I will have something to say on that issue. Let me just say that I'll be thinking about you, Roberto, on Wednesday. I wish I could be there, but I won't be able to, so I'll be thinking about you and your family. We have to do performance reviews, and that's something I think that the mayor and I need to talk about and set that up for our January meeting. The chief and Emily are due, or past due, and we need to set that up, as well as Roberto is due in January. So we need to start moving that ball forward. Just wanted to raise that so everybody's aware of it. I imagine we'll follow the same process that we've always followed, where the mayor will send out the information and the evaluation forms, and then we'll collectively sit down in closed session and go through the process. Unless somebody has any other suggestions, that seems to be the adopted method going forward. Thank you to all who attended this evening. Very happy to hear from, who was that? Lynn Williams of the Haymarket Food Pantry. It's amazing to me how many food insecure folks we have in this community and outside this community. That number just threw me, that 15,000 households. That's quite large, something to be very mindful of. Of course, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday, but the big thing I want to mention is on December 12th, there's going to be a BOCS meeting that I think, and there's no hyperbole here, there's going to be a big decision on the Prince William County Digital Gateway. We're talking about a network of data centers that are very, very challenging to the environment, to our schools, our residences, and our public parks. That's December 12th. If anybody has a view in either direction, either for or against, I would encourage them to sign up to speak or attend the meeting and let your voice be heard. Because in my view, this is going to be a defining moment for this county going forward over the next 2 to 4 decades. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Happy holidays, everybody.
Okay, Vice Mayor Peter.
Thank you. I also want to wish everybody a very happy holiday season. Some of my big takeaways from this evening was the extreme appreciation of our police department and how you were noted specifically. That makes my heart very full. The phrase close-knit community speaks very, very much to my heart, so I love to hear that as well. Yes, taken aback by the number of families and households that are being served by the food pantry. Please, if you have a little, share a little. If you have a lot, share a lot, please. Special recognition again to Park Valley and Scout Troop 924. Appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing everybody on Saturday.
Okay, and now it's my turn to piggyback on Mary. I know we do a local wreath. I don't know which group does it. The American Legions. Who's the new organization that we have? Is that the VFW? Yeah, I think they've identified 30 grave sites on Bull Run that they plan on putting wreaths on. I talked to the head of that a while back, so I can't remember the date. Maybe the town can reach out and get that date from them and put it on our website if it hasn't passed yet. Of course, with the holiday season coming up, we got our celebration coming on Saturday. Of course, Hanukkah starts on Thursday. So wish everybody well within their celebrations and religious celebrations. Saturday is the Mayor Walk. I know it kind of somewhat conflicts with the celebration this weekend on Saturday, but it's still early enough. I do intend on doing that as well as showing up to the holiday festival. And that's all I have. Next agenda item.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting closed.